A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Well, Mr. Marsh, the man responsible for the Aces losing all their money, is now offering Mr. Race a chance to make some of it back. Mr. Race doesn't know it. But the reason for this gesture is that Mr. Marsh's silent partner, Mr. Peabody, is afraid their crooked deal has been discovered. A strange man visits his office daily and sits there staring at his secretary. The strange man is Cokie, and the secretary is Jane's niece Betty, on whom Cokie has a crush. This episode is in alternating scenes between Mr. Peabody's office and Mr. Marsh's office. But first to Betty at her desk, Cokie staring at her in silent rapture. Jane enters. Listen.
Well, here I am, Betty. What's the matter? Why did you call me up to come right over here?
What's the matter? Look at him. There he is. Look at him.
Oh, hello, Cokie.
Hello.
Well, Aunt Jane?
Well, what?
Look at him.
I looked. Is that what you called me up for, to drop whatever I was doing and come here?
Isn't it enough?
To look at Cokie? For that I dropped that candy dish I was cleaning?
Oh, I can't stand it, Aunt Jane. I'm going to lose my job if this keeps up. I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, you can always get another job. And besides, what's he doing? He's just sitting there like a bum on a log.
Exactly. And every time Mr. Peabody comes through this office, he sees him sitting there like a bum on a log. What's he thinking?
Cokie?
No, Mr. Peabody. You've got to make him go away and stay away.
Mr. Peabody?
No, Cokie. He can't come up here day after day and sit there haunting me.
Well, what can I do?
Speak to him.
Oh. Hello, Cokie.
Hello.
How are you, Cokie?
Oh, pretty good.
What's new?
Oh, nothing.
Aunt Jane, get to the point. Mr. Peabody will be coming back from lunch pretty soon. If he finds him here again, I don't know what he'll do.
Well, I don't know what I can do.
Get him out of here. I don't know why he came here in the first place.
Oh, you do, too.
I don't.
You know why. He wants you to go out with him. Didn't you tell her that, Cokie?
Sure, I told her.
Well, what did she say?
She said even an imbecilic moron could see that she wouldn't go out with a person of dwarfed intelligence.
She said no, huh?
Gee, she talks pretty.
You see, Betty, he knows you meant no, and he's going to wait here till you say you'll go out with him.
I'll go out of my mind first.
Anywhere, he doesn't care, do you, Cokie?
No, I just want to take her out and be friends, that's all.
Now, is that very much, Betty? Now, if you'll promise to go out with him, he'll go away and meet you someplace.
If he only would go away.
Well, he will if you'll meet him someplace. Where do you want to meet her, Cokie? Where do you want to go?
Oh, anywhere. I don't care, just so she'll go with me.
Well, ask her.
What?
Ask her for a date. Go ahead.
Well, I've been asking her.
Well, ask her again.
Your presence is requested at an informal dinner party tonight at 6 o'clock. RSVP.
Cokie.
What?
That's cute. Where did you get that?
Oh, off a card.
That's awfully cute. What kind of a card?
Oh, I saw some cards and I bought them and learned them.
Now, isn't that sweet, Betty? Look, he bought some cards and learned them all by heart for you. Tell her again, Cokie.
Your presence is requested at an informal dinner party tonight at 6 o'clock. Omit flowers.
What?
Oh, no, that's another card. I mean RSVP. I've been asking her that for 3 days. She won't even answer me anymore.
Aunt Jane, I can't stand any more of this. Any minute Mr. Peabody will be returning from lunch. Please, get him out of here. Take him away.
Well, it's up to you, Betty.
What's up to me?
You've got to stop thinking about Neil and start being friendly with Cokie.
Leave Neil out of this.
But Neil and Marsh were going together before you came here. You've got them mad at each other now.
Aunt Jane, I haven't time to argue now. Don't you see how important it is to get him out of here before Mr. Peabody...
Please be calm, Mr. Peabody. I'll tell you what my plan is to get Mr. Ace out of town.
Well, you'd better plan quick, Mr. Marsh. I tell you, there's something up. That man sitting up there in my office again today, I tell you...
Now, let me do the telling before Mr. Ace is announced.
Mr. Ace coming here?
Yes, he ought to be here in a few minutes.
Well, I don't want him to see me here.
Well, naturally. So here's the deal I thought of. You know that ranch we own out in Arizona?
Yes.
We've been wanting to sell it for some time. Now,
where did he figure in?
I think if we sent him down there, got him out of town for a few weeks, and let him make himself a nice piece of change out of the deal, we'd be safe.
I see. I see what you mean. That's fine. We've got to get him out of town.
And we'll be getting a little better price by having a man on the premises.
I'm not thinking about that now. I'm plain worried.
Well, stop worrying. In the first place, we don't know for sure that the man who sits in your office has anything to do with it.
It's easy enough for you to say stop worrying. You don't see that guy sitting up there in my office every time you turn around. I do. I tell you, somebody's found out that property Mr. Ace lost his money on belonged to us, Mr. Marsh.
Well, we're taking this precaution. We're sending Mr. Ace out of town, and with him safely out of town, nothing definite can be proved against us. Of course, it's going to cost us a little something to send them down there.
Them? Who's them?
Mr. and Mrs. Ace.
Mrs. Ace, I'm not spending money to send him on a pleasure trip. Where does she figure in this? Nothing doing.
I think it'd be wise to get them both out of town.
Nothing doing. No, it's going to cost enough to finance just one.
Oh, but I think...
No, sir, I won't stand for it.
Well, you say so.
I do say so. Nothing doing. Just get him out of town. I'm not worrying about her.
Very well. You're the boss. Excuse me. Yes, Miss Davis? Oh, yes. We'll hold him there just a few seconds and then let him come in.
He's here?
Yes. You better go out this way.
Now phone me and let me know how you come out.
I will, Mr. Peabody. Now, don't worry. Take it easy.
And remember, only him. Don't be sending her on any pleasure trips at my expense.
Only him, I understand. Well, come right in, Mr. Ace.
Oh, hello, Mr. Marsh. I'm sorry I'm a little late.
Not at all. How are you?
Oh, fine, thank you. And you?
I'm fine. Sit down, won't you?
Fine.
Take off your coat. This is going to take a little of your time.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Mr. Marsh.
Nonsense. I've got all day. Now, take off your coat and make yourself comfortable.
Okay, if you're sure I'm not keeping you from anything.
Well, nothing's more important at the moment than getting you set again, Mr. Ace. I don't have to tell you how rotten I felt ever since that deal fell through.
Well, I don't have to tell you how rotten I felt.
Yes, I can imagine. Well, it's never too late to mend, and I think the least I can do is to try to do a little mending. After all, I talked you into putting up all your money on that option.
Oh, I know, but you did it in good faith. It wasn't your fault.
Of course it wasn't. It's nice of you to take that attitude, Mr. Ace. And just the same, ever since it happened, I've been trying to find some way to put you next to something that'll help you recoup at least a part of your money.
Well, that's very considerate of you, Mr. Marsh.
Not at all. Well, have a cigar?
Oh, thank you. Now, about this deal.
Well, it might necessitate your giving up your job.
Oh?
But I assure you, you can make more of it than you can whatever job you have, because it's a pretty good deal and a sure one.
Well, what is it? You've got my curiosity aroused.
Well, here it is. Now, I own a ranch out west. It's quite a place. I've had it for some years, and I want to get rid of it. I've been thinking about selling it for some time.
I see.
Now, it needs a little fixing up. I'll have to spend some money on it and get it back into the shape it was when I first got it. And once we get it into condition, I'm sure we'll have no trouble selling it. Now, here's the deal. How about you going out there, taking over, getting it fixed up, and putting it up for sale? You're to handle the whole thing as you see fit. Of course, I pay all expenses accrued, moving you out there and your living expenses while you stay on the place. Then, of course, you're to get a commission for the sale of the property.
Well.
Now, you see why I want you to take a little time to think it over.
Yes, I can understand.
But the point is, I'd like to get it settled as soon as possible.
Well, what do you mean, as soon as...
I mean, I'd like to have you on your way out there by the end of this week.
End of this week? Well, that doesn't leave me much time, does it?
No, it doesn't. Mr. Ace, I think you've been in real estate long enough to realize that you can make yourself a nice bit of cash out of this.
You mean if I can sell it?
Well, don't worry about that part of it. I've had any number of nibbles in the property. It's a choice spot. Only I think I can get a better deal with you on the place.
Well, thanks for your confidence. How long will it take?
Just a few weeks. The point is, you'll realize enough out of this deal to get yourself a start back in real estate business here when you come back, instead of wasting your time working for somebody else.
Oh, I can see the opportunity it offers me. It's just...
Well, what are you hesitating about?
Well, it's just that I've never left home for that length of time. I mean, without Mrs. Ace.
Well, it's only for a little while.
Yes, I understand that, but...
Of course, it would be asking a little too much for you to expect me to pay her expenses, too.
Oh, yes, I can see that.
It's not for so long, Mr. Ace. Say a month at the most.
Well, a month doesn't sound very long. I don't know how Mrs. Ace is going to take to this. I'm afraid she won't approve of it at all.
Oh, you should be able to convince her. It gives you a fresh start.
Well, I'll try. I don't think it'll work if it will only...
All right, Aunt Jane, I give up. You win.
What do you mean?
I'll go out with him.
You will, Betty?
See, Toky?
You mean it, Betty?
What else can I do? I can't have you sitting there staring at me day after day. Now will you get out of here?
Oh, now, hold your horse just a minute. Where are you going to meet him?
Anywhere but here.
All right. You can meet him downstairs when you're through working. In the lobby, all right?
Yes, anywhere, only please take him out of here.
All right, then. Toky, in the lobby by that big spiral stairway. How's that?
It is with extreme pleasure that I accept your invitation of this date.
Beg pardon?
It's on one of those cards I bought.
Oh, That's cute.
It means I'll be there with bells
Oh,
on.
please go before Mr. Peabody gets back.
Well, what time, Betty? 5 o'clock's the time you get through, isn't it?
Yes, 5 o'clock. Hurry.
5 o'clock, Sophie. Be sure to be on time.
I'll go down and wait now.
Now, but it's only 1 o'clock now.
Yes, you don't have to be there till 5, Sophie.
I got nothing else to do. I'll just wait till 5.
Now, be on time, Betty. He doesn't like to be kept waiting. Come on, Sophie, let's go. Say goodbye to Betty.
Goodbye, Betty.
Oh, that's so cute. Goodbye, Betty.
Goodbye. Oh, Mr. Peabody.
Was there a phone call for me yet, Miss Taylor?
Well, no calls, Mr. Peabody.
I see that man just went out. But you're sure you don't know why he's been sitting around here these past few days?
Oh, no, Mr. Peabody. He's no friend of mine. I wouldn't have any of my friends coming up here during working hours.
Well, I should hope not. Who was that woman who just went out? Did she want to see me?
Oh, no, sir. That was Mrs. Ace. She dropped in to see me.
I'm expecting a call now. The minute it comes, you let... Who did you say that was?
Mrs. Ace.
Ace?
Yes, she's my...
Oh.
Mr. Peabody, well, what's the
Where's
matter?
the phone? Get me Mr. Marsh.
Mr. Marsh, yes, sir.
Hurry. Get him on the phone right away.
Well, I'll certainly ask her, Mr. Marsh. I don't think I can promise anything definite.
Suppose you put it up to her in such a way that she'll see what a big opportunity it is for you. Surely it's worth a few weeks out of your life.
Oh, I know it is. It's just that we've never been apart before, and...
Oh, excuse me, please. Yes? Oh, yes. What? Yes. Oh, gee. Well, goodbye. Now, on second thought, Mr. Ace, perhaps we can arrange for Mrs. Ace to go with you.
What? You mean you'll pay all her expenses, too?
Yes, I think that can be arranged.
Well, that certainly was a quick switch, wasn't it? Just how Jane takes this startling news, we learn when next we meet the Easy
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned the homicide detail. A man has been shot and critically wounded. There's no trace of the suspect. Your job, find him. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality. Chesterfield. First choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Sunday, April 26th. It was raining in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office, and it was 11:44 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Hi, Frank.
Hi.
Anybody call?
Yeah, Lopey called. Wants to know if he left his overshoes.
No, I didn't see him. It's quit raining anyway. What are you doing there?
Just a minute, Joe.
What's the scale for?
The needle's bent.
And what are you doing?
Here, weighing my stuff.
Your what?
Weighing my stuff.
Oh, yeah. I guess everybody ought to know what his stuff weighs, huh?
Yeah. Let's see. Get my gun. Better take the bullets out first.
What are you doing that for?
Weigh them separate, Joe. Keep track.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, the bullets. Uh-huh. Handcuffs.
Frank, did anybody ever ask you about all this?
And my bullet clip.
Look, I'm a member of the club here, too. What's this all about?
Pencils?
4?
Yeah, pressed kind of hard.
Yeah.
Other stuff in my wallet. Change. Keys. Boy, no wonder my feet kill me.
What?
6 pounds, 2.5 ounces. That's what I carry, Joe. Working nice, got a flashlight, too. That's good for another pound.
You figure that's what makes your feet hurt, huh?
Sure.
Yeah. 6 pounds, 2 ounces. How much do you weigh, Frank?
Any calls?
Come on, how much?
Joe, I get that all day from Faye. Never thought I'd get it from you.
That's a hot shot. I'll get it.
What do you got?
Shooting on East Berendo. 11:45 p.m. We swung out of the City Hall garage and headed south on Main Street. The streets were still wet after the rain. Code 3, red light and siren. And even with that, driving a fast car is no picnic. You can be wrong at every corner. Big buildings to block off the sound of your siren. Cars to shield the red light from oncoming motorists. It's no fun. There'd been a shooting and we had to get there. As Frank and I swung around the last streetcar on Main Street and picked up Berendo, we heard the police radio operator dispatching ambulance G13 to the address we were headed for. We didn't know what direction the ambulance would come from, so for the next few blocks we drove with added caution, knowing that our siren would keep us from hearing theirs. 5 blocks ahead through the mist, we could see the red lights of a police car parked at the curb. A radio car in the area had gotten the call and answered it immediately. It was 11:52 p.m. when we pulled up in front of 1981 East Berendo. The large house was dark. 2 neighborhood women stood in the driveway and directed us to the back of the house where we found the officers from Unit 1A6. We checked with them and got the information that they'd come up with. They suggested that they canvass the immediate area for any information on the assailant. Frank and I went in through the back door of the house. The victim lay on the floor. He was unconscious and bleeding profusely. His head was held in the lap of another man.
Are you the doctor?
No, sir. We're police officers. The ambulance is on the way here.
If I could just stop the bleeding. It's his chest.
Do you know who did this?
No.
Has he been conscious at all since you've been here?
Just for a second.
Did he say anything?
Well, I heard the shot and came right over. He was laying here on the floor, right here. Poor guy.
Yes, sir. Did he say anything?
Help me. That's all they said. Help me. I didn't know what to do. I got this towel from the sink and tried to stop the bleeding. This and my handkerchief, that's all I had. Can't do much, but I had to try. I had to keep pressing. That's all I could think of. Keep pressing to try to stop it.
Yes, sir. Do you feel all right, sir?
Oh, yes, I'm all right. Got to help him.
Here, let me get in there and take care of that.
All right, come on, sir. Get under.
Okay, got it, Joe.
All right. Now, come on, sir. Get up. That's all right. You'll handle this.
The excitement. Can't seem to get my breath.
Something we can get for you?
No, I'll be all right. I think I'll get a drink of water.
I'd rather you wouldn't touch that glass, sir.
Huh? Oh, yeah, fingerprints. Well, I can wait. Oh, say, I did touch that towel. Hope it didn't hurt anything. Didn't mean to.
No, sir, I don't think so. What's your name?
Paul West. I live right next door, right across the driveway, gray house.
Uh-huh. Wonder if you could tell us what happened.
Sure, I want to help all I can. I live right next door, and I was the first one here. Anything I can do, I want to help.
Yes, sir.
I've known Charlie for, I guess it's maybe 40 years. A long time.
Charlie, that's the man's name here?
Yes, Charles Stahl.
How you doing, Frank?
That's pretty bad. I don't know.
Would you tell us what happened here?
Well, it was right after Charlie left my place. That's when I heard the noise.
What noise, West?
I was out on my porch putting out the cans, getting the boxer ready when I heard the noise. First off, I thought Charlie was doing the same thing, getting the cans ready.
Well, what kind of a noise?
Well, like he dropped the box. I know now that wasn't it.
Joe?
Just a minute, West. Yeah.
I think he's coming around.
Is he coming too? You going to say anything? Who shot him?
All right, just a minute.
What's his name again?
Stahl.
Mr. Stahl. Mr. Stahl.
Maybe you talk to me. He knows me. We're friends. Let me talk to him.
Wait right there, will you, West?
I just wanted to help.
All right, stay right there.
Mr. Stahl, we want to help you. Can you tell us who shot you?
Hey, what you saying? Is he giving you the name?
Hold it, West. Just a minute. How about it, Frank?
He's dead.
Did he say anything?
Yeah. Not much help.
Huh?
Asked me not to shoot him again.
It was a couple of minutes before midnight when Charles Stahl died in Frank's arms. According to the next-door neighbor, Paul West, the victim was 55 years old. He was not married, and he lived in the big house on Berendo by himself. The ambulance crew returned to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital after making out a DOA report, and the coroner's office was asked to pick up the body. 12 minutes later, coroner's deputies Maxwell and Martinez arrived. Before the murdered man's body was removed, the crew from the crime lab photographed the scene, and Frank and I signed the property receipt for the money and the personal effects found on the body. We asked the crime lab to check a .32 caliber Smith & Wesson revolver found on the floor under the kitchen stove. There was one empty cartridge in the cylinder. We put in a call to gun records, but we found nothing on the gun. A call to R&I on the victim of the shooting turned up nothing. Latent fingerprints found nothing on the murder weapon. The crime lab crew found no footprints in the ground near the house, but they did find several marks of tire tracks and one good impression left in the moist dirt in the alley behind the house. A plaster cast was made of the imprint, and it was returned to the office to be booked as evidence. We checked with the officers in Unit 1A6, but they said that in canvassing the neighborhood, they'd been unable to come up with any new leads. 12:21 a.m. We checked back into the house, and we talked to the neighbor, Paul West.
Now, what kind of a job did Stahl have?
Owned a print shop, Stahl Press, over on the east side.
Was he in business by himself?
What do you mean?
Or did he have any partners?
No, Charlie owned it right out. Had the pink slip, you might say.
Mm-hmm. Can you give us the address?
Sure. Biggest print shop on the east side. Printed just about everything. Posters, display cards, things like that. He gave me some cards last Christmas. Here, take a look. That's my name, embossed.
Yes, sir.
Did it himself.
Mm-hmm. That's very nice, sir.
Can I have that back, please?
Oh, sure. Here.
Embossed.
Anybody in the shop with him? Any employees?
Well, there's the Becker kids, Pete and Alvin.
They work in the shop, do they?
Yeah, I've been with him. I guess it's been about 5 years.
How's he get along with them, would you know?
Fine. I never heard about any trouble. I've been kind of friends with the family. Charlie was pretty fond of him.
Did he have any personal enemies, maybe because of the business?
No, not that I know of.
Uh-huh. How long did you say you've known Stahl?
Been about 40 years. We grew up together.
I see.
His father and mine built these houses at the same time. Charlie and I went to school together. Belonged to the same club. We were soldiers together. Served in the 146th Field Artillery in the war.
Was that the last war, sir?
Oh, no, the big one. First World War.
Oh, I see.
Came back and we lived right here, side by side, all this time. We've been friends, Charlie and me. Good friends. You got to catch the person that did this. You got to get him.
You said earlier that Stahl had been over to your house tonight.
Yes, that's right.
Did he have any special reason for the visit?
Well, he didn't need a reason. Charlie was always welcome. Always.
Well, yes, sir, we understand.
Of course, tonight's Sunday. We had a game.
Sir?
Bridge. Always play bridge on Sunday night. Never miss.
Well, what time did he get to your house?
Same time as always, right after supper.
What time's that, sir?
Right after 7:30. We were just finishing supper when he came in. Charlie sat down, had dessert and coffee with us.
Uh-huh.
Rice pudding with raisins. Charlie had 2 dishes. Then we started to play bridge.
Oh, I see. Now, who else was there?
You mean the game?
Yeah.
Oh, just Rose and Paula. Rose, my wife, and Paula's my daughter.
Anything unusual happened tonight?
Just once.
Yeah, what was that?
Well, I bid a grand slam in spades and made it. Even with Rose. 7 spades.
Well, that's not exactly what we mean, Wes.
Pretty unusual.
Yes, sir, but did anything happen with Stahl?
Sure. He almost hit the ceiling when we made it.
Got pretty mad, did he?
Sure. Since we've been playing, most he ever did was make a little slam.
Mm-hmm.
He went right home after that. I guess that's when he went out to empty the cans. Anyway, that's when I heard the noise.
That was the shot, sir.
It must have been. I didn't know it at the time, but I guess that's what it was.
What'd you do after you heard the shot?
Well, now, at the time, I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe Charlie had fallen and hurt himself.
Mm-hmm.
I looked over at his place, but there wasn't any lights on. I went out the curb with a box of cans. Came back, and I didn't see Charlie, so I walked over.
I see.
I called to him and asked if he was all right. Didn't get no answer, so I came in. Found him right on the floor, where he was when you came in.
You're the one who put in the call, is that right?
Yeah, I called the operator and told her to get an ambulance right over that Charlie had been shot. Told her to send a policeman.
Now, what time was it when Stahl left your house?
Oh, must have been about 11:15 or so. Earlier than usual. We always play almost to midnight. I guess Charlie got miffed about the grand slam I made, and then Paula kidded him about the woman.
What woman is that?
Oh, wasn't anything. I went out and looked. Nobody there.
Sir?
A couple of times Charlie thought he heard a woman coughing outside the window by his house. I went over to the window, looked out there, but there wasn't anybody there.
Well, did you hear this coughing?
No, not really. After Charlie started talking about it, I thought I did, but when I went out to look, there wasn't anybody there. His imagination, that's all. He was mad because of the slam.
Well, did you hear anything at all when you were out and back?
Huh?
Well, when you went into Stahl's house, did you hear anybody around? A car, maybe? Something like that?
No, not a soul.
Wes, could somebody have gone out the front of the house when you came in the back?
Wouldn't seem it could be. I'd have heard him if they did.
Well, then you'd say that whoever shot Stahl wasn't in the house when you went in, is that it?
Pretty sure about that. Of course, they might have left before I went in.
Sir?
Well, I'd already took the box of cans out the front after I heard the noise. If there's anybody in the house, they could have gotten out then.
But you didn't see anybody, did you?
No, nobody at all.
Do you know if Stahl has any relatives in Los Angeles?
No.
He hasn't, huh?
Hasn't got any place, none at all. Always kind of worried him.
Why is that?
Well, he used to say he didn't have any folks to leave his things to. The house, print shop.
Mm-hmm.
He made a will, though. All legal with a seal and all. Official. He used to talk to me about it.
I see. You know who the beneficiary was, would you?
Not now.
What?
Well, I knew who it was, but he said he was going to change it. Said he was going to put a new name on.
What did he say, whose?
Nope. Just said I'd be surprised.
We looked through the victim's desk for the will. In one of the bottom drawers, we found a locked tin box. In a box of paper clips, we found a key that fit. In the top liner of the box, there was a Purple Heart ribbon and an American Victory Medal from the First World War. In the bottom of the box, there were several government bonds and the will. In it, he left the house and the rest of his possessions to a Mrs. Margaret Becker. The print shop and the business he left to Mrs. Becker's sons, Peter and Alvin. The will was dated 3 years previously. On a separate piece of paper, we found an address for a Mrs. Margaret Becker, the Lone Star Motel on Sepulveda Boulevard. 12:40 a.m. We affixed the public administrator's seal, which the coroner's deputy had left with us, to the door of the victim's house. We talked with the wife and daughter of the neighbor, Paul West. They confirmed the story he'd given us. On the way to talk to the Becker woman, we stopped and called the office. They checked the name through R&I, but they came up with no identification. We called Sergeant J. Allen at the crime lab, and he told us that the tire marks found in the rear of the victim's house were made by 3 B.F. Goodrich tires and 1 truck tire. He said that the cast they'd made was of the truck tire, as it was the only one they could lift, and that it was made by the left front wheel. There was a car parked in front of the manager's cottage. The registration listed Margaret Becker as the owner. Legal the same. We checked it.
Motor's cold.
Yeah. Tires don't match.
Well, nice try.
Yeah. Let's go. I get it.
Late.
Yeah.
1:15? Probably asleep.
What's the matter? Can't you read? Sign says no vacancy. That means full up. N-O, that means no. Waking somebody at this hour?
Yes, ma'am.
And don't ask me if I know someplace where you can stay, because I don't. Good night.
Just a minute, Miss Becker.
How do you know my name?
Police officers.
Well, what do you want around here? I run a clean place, no trouble, license all paid up, nothing wrong.
We'd like to talk to you.
What about?
You know a man named Charles Stahl?
What are you asking that for?
We'd like to know.
And I want to know why you're asking. What's this all about? Anything wrong with Charlie? That's why you're out here?
Yes, ma'am.
What's wrong?
It was pretty serious.
Well, go ahead. You can tell me.
Well, he's dead, Miss Becker.
Come in.
Thank you.
What's the matter, Margaret? Who are these fellas? Who are you? What are you doing here?
They're policemen.
Well, we don't need you. We got the whole thing cleaned up. We took care of it ourselves. Nobody sent for you. We took care of him.
No, Daddy. They're here about Charles.
Charlie Stoll?
Yes, sir, that's right.
Charlie here? Well, where is he?
He's not here, Daddy. Something's happened to him.
What?
He's dead.
Dead? Charlie?
Yes.
Well, how did it happen? An accident?
No, sir.
Oh, poor Charlie Stoll. He's a nice boy. Too bad. I thought you was here about the fellow number 8, the loud one.
What's that, sir?
A man from Texas came in tonight pretty drunk. We had to take him in. Daddy put him to bed. He was pretty drunk.
Heavy, too.
That's what he thought you were out here for.
Couldn't even get out of his car. Margaret had to park it for him. Loud, real drunk. Wore his pants inside his boots.
What was it you wanted to see me about?
Well, a few questions we'd like to ask you.
About Charles?
Yes, ma'am. When was the last time you saw him?
It must have been a couple of weeks ago.
I saw him last week, April 22nd. Went fishing down at the pier.
Miss Becker, what was your relationship with Stahl?
Good friends, that's all. We knew each other almost all our lives. I used to live next door to him. Went through school together.
I always thought they were going to get married. Charlie was a good boy.
You see much of him lately?
No, not too much. I've been busy here with Daddy, and Charlie's had other things to do.
Moved next door to him on December 14th. Exactly 42 years ago come winter.
You know if he had any enemies, ma'am?
No, can't think of anyone who didn't like Charlie.
Didn't catch anything at the pier. Bad bait.
You've been home all evening, have you?
Yeah. Why'd you ask that?
Well, it's just routine.
You think I had something to do with it, that it?
No, ma'am, we don't.
Pinheads, that's what you need.
I beg your pardon, sir?
Pinhead anchovies, that's what you need for pier fishing.
You say it's routine, but I don't like you coming in here, waking us up with all these questions. We've had a bad night, that drunk coming in here. We've been on the go ever since then.
A few years ago, we used to be able to get a lot of pinheads. Not anymore.
You want to make any accusations, you talk to Paul West. You just talk to him. Try your routine questions there.
Paul West?
Yeah, Charlie's neighbor. He's never liked Charlie, never. Anyone hurt Charlie, it was Paul.
Why do you say that, Mrs. Becker?
Years ago, Charlie was sweet on Paul's sister. On the way back from the beach one night, there was an accident, and Paul's sister was killed. Never forgave Charlie. Always held him to blame.
Well, why was that, Miss Becker?
Charlie was driving. Paul hated Charles for it. Now the thing with the daughter. Paul didn't like that either. Somebody did something to Charlie. You routine the man next door. You talk to Paul West. Now get out of here. I want to get some sleep. If you got any more questions, you come back in the morning, and I'll talk to you then. You get out of here now.
Yes, ma'am. But what did you mean, the thing with her, West's daughter?
All right. I'll tell you that, then you've got to get out of here.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple of months ago, Paula came home. Divorced her husband and moved home. Right away, Charlie got sweet on her. Paul didn't like it. Didn't like it at all.
Did he ever say anything to Stahl about it?
You bet he did. They had a lot of arguments, a lot of them. You talk to Paul West. He's the one you got to talk to. Now, good night.
We'll be back in the morning, ma'am.
I'll be here. Don't worry. I'll talk to you then.
I'm going fishing tomorrow. They're getting pinheads now.
There's a new one, huh? West's daughter.
Yeah. Better check it out.
Hold it a minute.
Huh?
Let's take a look back at the carport here. There it is, a Texas license plate.
Yeah. I'll check the motor.
How about it?
Radiator's warm. How about the wheels?
3 Goodrich tires and a truck tire.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
The information we'd gotten from the crime lab gave us the make of the tires that had left the imprints in back of the victim's house. 3 of the tires had been identified as being of Goodrich make. The 4th was a truck tire. The car we'd found in the carport of cabin number 8 had tires that matched the description. 1:26 a.m. We went back to talk to Margaret Becker.
I'd like to know just what this is all about. Why you're snooping around asking questions. Now, why don't you come right on out with it? Come on, you think I had something to do with Charlie being dead, isn't that it?
No, ma'am, we told you before. This is just a routine investigation. We're trying to get the facts here.
You still haven't told us about Charlie. Was he killed?
Yes, ma'am.
You think I did it?
We didn't say that.
Not in so many words you didn't, but that's what you meant. You found the will. That's what made you think it was me, isn't that it?
You knew about the will, didn't you?
Certainly I knew about it. Charles told me when he had it drawn up. Said he didn't have anybody else who wanted to see that me and the boys were taken care of.
Too bad about Charlie Stahl. He's a good boy. He's going to take care of Margaret.
He ever say anything to you about changing the will?
Yes. Told me about it the last time I saw him. Had lunch together, and he told me then.
Tell you what changes he was going to make?
No, not right out. Didn't have to. I knew. I could tell. The way he's been acting lately, I could tell.
So could I.
Well, what do you mean, the way he's been acting? Was there anything wrong?
Well, this thing with Paula. Told you about that. Charlie's been acting like a fool, falling all over her, gushing sweet talk. Silly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she had him in a trance. Her just 25 and him 55. Talk about spring and winter. Well, that was them.
How'd Paula feel about this?
How'd you expect her to feel? She thought that Charlie'd leave her the money, house, everything. She went right along with it, real brazen.
Sir?
Yeah?
You said earlier that you thought your daughter and Mr. Stahl might get married. Is that right?
You better did. They always been in love.
Daddy, that's not true.
Well, it is true. I'm your father now. You show a little respect. After that no-good Becca walked out on Maggie, she and Charlie started to see each other again. Went real nice. Then Paula come into town, and Charlie Stahl took up with her.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Stahl made out his will so that everything went to Margaret and the kids. Then he decided he'd change it.
You knew about the will, too, huh?
Sure, I was a friend of Charlie's. We used to go fishing all the time, talk about things. I told him that he was wrong to even think of changing his will. I told him that it was wrong.
What time did you say that car from Texas got in, ma'am?
I told you, about 10:15.
Well, ma'am, is it possible that somebody could have taken the car out without you knowing about it?
Hey, wait a minute, Margaret. That ain't right.
What?
It wasn't that late. It was only about 8 when he come in. I remember because I was in bed at 8:30. I put him to bed and then come back and went to bed myself. I wanted to get some sleep going fishing in the morning.
You pretty sure about the time, are you?
Well, you bet. I remember because I got in bed and turned on the radio. Listened to that radio program about the detective. Fell asleep before the end. Never did find out who stole the jewels and did the murder.
What was your daughter doing when you came back?
Just sitting there. She went out to put the car away, and I went to bed.
Mm-hmm. How long was she outside?
I don't know, a few minutes, I guess.
Can you tell us a little closer than that?
Not very well. I told you I went to sleep. I didn't hear her come in.
Miss Becker, I wanted you to get dressed, please. We'd like to talk to you downtown.
What for?
Well, we have a report from our crime lab. They found some tire tracks in back of Stahl's house tonight. They were fresh tracks. They'd been made since it stopped raining. Those tracks match the car you got parked back there.
And you think I drove the car over to Charlie's?
Well, we'd like to talk about it.
Why? Why'd I do a thing like that? Why'd I want to kill Charlie?
Maybe because he was going to cut you out of his will. Looks like a pretty good motive.
Oh, you two are out of your minds.
All right, ma'am. We'll lay it out for you.
You better do that. Making accusations you can't back up.
The way the evidence looks, we got a pretty good case here. The way it looks, you took the car and you drove it over to Stahl's. He was next door playing cards, so you waited in the kitchen for him to come back. A couple of times you coughed while you were waiting. He heard you. He came over to the window to see who it was. Because it was dark, he couldn't see you.
I haven't heard a story like that since I stopped reading fairy tales.
You came home and you killed him. Then you heard Mr. West next door. He came over to see what it was. You went out the back way to the car that you'd parked in the alley, and you drove it back here.
That's the way it looks to you, is it?
Yes, ma'am, that's the way it looks.
You figure she killed Charlie Stahl?
Yes, sir.
You're going to arrest Margaret?
We want to talk to her about it.
Oh, going to take her down to jail, huh?
Yes, sir.
Well, I'll go and put my clothes on.
No, that isn't necessary for you to go with her, sir.
Well, she's not going.
What?
I killed Charlie Stahl.
Daddy.
You killed him?
Yep. Got tired of how he was treating Mark. Got good and tired. Him talking about how he was going to change the will. I couldn't let him do that. I just killed him and drove the car over and did it.
What time was all this?
Huh?
What time did you go over to Stahl's?
Right after the fellow from Texas. I guess it was about 9.
What time did you kill him?
Oh, it must have been 10:30 or so. I had to wait for him to get through playing cards. I had to wait for him to come home.
Why are you doing this, Daddy?
Why am I doing it? I said somebody's got to take care of the kids. Somebody's got to take care of you. I'm an old man. I ain't much use to anybody.
All right, come on, Miss Becker. You want to get dressed now?
She ain't the one. I did it. I killed Charlie Stahl. I already confessed. Why don't you believe me? Why don't you arrest me now? I did it.
No, I'm afraid not. You got the times a little mixed up. Stahl wasn't killed at 10:30.
No, he's just trying to help me, but he doesn't have to. Him and me were both here all night. Neither one of us left. I was in bed and asleep at midnight.
Why do you say that?
What?
Why do you think Stahl was killed around midnight?
I didn't say that.
You said that you were home and in bed by midnight, didn't you?
Just a figure of speech. I think I've talked enough to you. I don't have to say anything more. I'm going to see a lawyer about it. You got no right.
I'm the one that did it. I'm the one.
Why'd you kill him, Mrs. Becker?
You want to tell us?
Get old, nobody believes you.
How about it, Miss Becker?
I'll get dressed.
You did kill him then, huh?
Yes, I did it. Wasn't because of the money, though. You got to believe that. It wasn't because of the money.
Yeah.
I loved him. Deep in my heart, I loved him. Always did. Even when we were kids. I thought he was going to marry me. Then he met Paula.
You shouldn't have done it, Margaret.
I loved him and he didn't want me. He wanted Paula. Do you know what that's like?
What's that?
Love somebody and them not want you. Begins to eat at you. Pretty soon you can't stand it anymore. That's why I did it. Not for the money, you understand. I just wanted him.
Yeah.
Just him. That's all I wanted. Not his money. You believe that? I never wanted his money. I just wanted him. You believe that?
Well, it really doesn't make any difference, does it?
How do you mean?
You didn't get either one.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On August 6th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, all of us on Dragnet are proud to be associated with Chesterfield because, believe me, Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes. You just can't beat a cigarette that was good to begin with and keeps getting better all the time. But, of course, you can't find out how much you'll like them till you try them. So that's what we'd like you to do. Get a carton of Chesterfields, regular or king size. That's all it takes. I know you'll agree that Chesterfield is best for you.
Margaret Alice Becker was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment in the California Institute for Women, Corona, California. Further investigation proved that the suspect's father, John Samuel Woodbridge, was not implicated in the murder. He was not held. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Rodman, Helen Cleve, Ralph Moody. Script by John Robinson. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfield's. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfield's much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Novak. For hire.
Sure. Contact Novak. For hire. That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Novak for hire. It's up there in block letters, but down on the waterfront in San Francisco, good printing doesn't mean a thing. You get that on a death certificate. If you're trying to make a living down here, you're not going to have any standing in the community except in a police lineup. I rent boats and do anything else that goes with a weak will and a strong stomach. Well, it's not all bad. Once in a while, something happens that makes you feel good for a moment. Like remembering somebody you kissed a long time ago. But most of the time, you buy your beer the hard way. It works out all right because most people learn to fall in love with a dollar bill and forget about trouble. And everything sounds all right, but sometimes it isn't. Like saying Happy New Year to a lifer. I found that out Wednesday night. I was sitting in the office with a sports page reading about those big tears that Washington senators were shedding when I saw Crockett Odom for the first time. He was a big red-faced guy, and the veins stood out on his face and made a pattern as if he slept on an alligator bag instead of a pillow. He walked over to the desk and started to get quiet in a loud voice.
I want to talk to you, Mr. Novak.
Go ahead, pile up a lead.
My name's Odom. You've heard of Crockett Odom?
I don't get around. Tell me about it.
I'm a lawyer. I want you to watch a client for me. Her name is Wendy Morris.
Is she hard to watch?
You can get bloodshot eyes just looking at her. She drinks a little.
What's a little?
How should I answer that?
Any way you like. A pint, a quart. What's a little, Odom? Is she a dipso?
We'll leave it there. She can make a quart of gin disappear while anybody else is looking for the corkscrew.
Mm-hmm. What am I supposed to do, hide the bottles?
Mr. Novak, a full-grown octopus couldn't do that. I'm afraid this is more serious. It involves her husband.
Let her take a drink and lose him. It'll save you money.
It involves her husband or somebody who's supposed to be her husband.
Oh, she got a bad memory?
She's a very wealthy girl, Mr. Novak. 5 years ago, she married a man by the name of Stanley Morris. Immediately after, he went into uniform.
You make it sound selfish.
She's been gone ever since, until a month ago. Spent most of that time overseas. The rest in a government hospital.
Yeah?
Now that he's back, something very peculiar has happened. I don't think the man is her husband.
Well, that's the hard part to play. She got any theories?
I think she suspects, too. I don't know why I feel that way. He seems to have picked up where he left off. Knows everything about her. Seems normal, but I'm sure the man is an imposter.
Look, Odom, find a corner and patch up that story. You can't get that nearsighted on 5 years' booze.
You don't understand, Mr. Novak. He was seriously injured. That makes identification hard.
You think Stanley Morris is dead?
I think he died somewhere along the line. This man took his place.
That's a lot of trouble just to share a boarding room with a boozer.
Not if he can share it with someone else on her money. That's why I want you to watch her, particularly tonight.
Why tonight? Is Stanley full of temper?
It's been leading up to this. He wants her to go to a gambling club. And I know he's too friendly with the owner of the club. I want you to go along as a friend.
Now, look, mister, I wouldn't go as her friend to a masquerade ball. If you're making a deal, make it out in the open.
Do it your own way, Novak. It's $300 earned any way you can.
Yeah. Where's the club?
She'll take you. Just pick her up at this address.
Mm-hmm. Does she know about it?
She'll understand you. In fact, that's the only risk you run. I told you she drinks most of the time. But when she doesn't, you're the type she gobbles up.
Yeah, I'll bring some cheese instead.
That won't do any good. It's not the flavor she likes, Mr. Novak. It's the crunch. Good night.
When Odom walked out of there, I knew he was the kind of a guy who'd put the wolf at your door if he could get one wholesale. On the way up the pier, he stopped and looked out at the bay as if he intended to do away with it before morning. And then he turned and disappeared around the corner. Well, I sat there for a while, and I went over his story. I was sure it wouldn't hold any more water than a grocer holds, but I had no way of checking. Finally, about 7 o'clock, I closed the office, and I went by the address he gave me. It was a modernistic apartment up on Telegraph Hill, one of those places where they let a guy out of the basement long enough to paint murals on the front. This one had a guy waving a blonde wig in front of a tired old monk named Faust. Wendy Morris' apartment was up on the second floor, and when I rang the buzzer, she opened the door with a nice, easy motion, like a cat getting ready to eat its young. I could see right away what Odom was talking about. If you ever build a house, you'd want somebody like her in the blueprint. She leaned against the doorway, and she was wearing a crepe evening gown that was supposed to let you know that nature had given her a square deal. She didn't say anything at first. She just kept fingering her glass and looking at you as if you knew she was full of gin and comfort.
It makes a nice rattle. Are you Mr. Novak?
Yeah, I rattle, too. Invite me in.
I bet you do. Come in.
Yeah.
They all paid to like me. Will a drink help, Mr. Novak?
Yeah.
Sit down. I'll get some soda.
No, this will do.
What did Crockett tell you?
He said you got thirsty.
Did he mention men? Crockett thinks they're related. His sole confession of the medical profession.
He mentioned your husband. Where is he?
I thought that was the problem.
Sounds phony. There must be a way to spot old husbands.
How?
I wouldn't know. Do you think Stanley Morris is dead?
I don't know, Mr. Novak.
Do you care either way?
As long as I'm safe, no. Stanley was no bargain.
Why'd you marry him?
I don't know. I suppose I confused the hangover with love.
Well, he sounds exciting.
About as lively as a dish rag in a steam bath. It doesn't make any difference now, Mr. Novak. I'm frightened. You've got to help me.
You're in for $300, that's all. Where is this gambling joint?
Out on Gary Boulevard. It's called the Mother Lode. The sense of humor belongs to Frankie Fannin.
Is he funny enough to deal with Stanley?
I don't know. Stanley's been out there every night for 2 weeks. Now he's forcing me to go. There must be a reason.
There must be a reason for what?
Don't tempt me, Stanley. This is Mr. Novak, my husband.
I never heard of you, Novak.
You got me worried.
He's a friend of mine.
What does he do, drive a beer truck?
My husband is being subtle, Mr. Novak. He's going with us, Dan.
We don't know anybody well enough to take him with us.
You don't have to feel burdened. I'll take him.
Aren't you wearing out that leash?
Now, look, mister, I'm here on a straight deal. Cash and carry, and your credit's through. From now on, that mouth of yours costs you dough.
Go ahead and pout, Dan. You look better with your lips turned in.
All right, if you like and he goes, I'll have to make another reservation. Hand me the phone, Novak.
Yeah. Here.
Thanks. Let's go, Wendy. Your friend backed out.
I hope they got a good price for my head, because when I started down, shoulder blades were the best I could do for height. I rolled over once, and then I stretched out on the floor as hard as a piece of chewing gum on the theater seat. I don't know how long I chased that woman in the bathing suit. Must have been about an hour when the phone began to ring. I tried to get up once or twice, but I couldn't get the boxcar off my chest, and the phone kept ringing like a piece of crystal in a hailstorm. I finally made a ladder out of my knees and got to the phone. Yeah.
How's your head?
It's a little right. What's on your mind?
Something's gone wrong. I have to meet you.
Not at these prices.
I just got a message from Crockett Odom. I'm leaving now. I want you to meet me in room 314 of the Galbraith Hotel.
Where is it?
Third-rate trap on Powell Street. It's important. Will you come?
Yeah.
And I'm sorry about your hair. I'll have to rub the bruise for you.
Wait till I get there. You can rub one of your own. She was right about that hotel. In a good season, they couldn't have drawn transient mice. I got there about 9:45. I rode up to room 314. There was nobody there. So I sat down and started to wait. The floor was quiet, except down at the end of the hall, somebody was playing a phonograph record. The music was thin but loud, and I knew they were old records, way back when this bird Bix was a man instead of a memory. It stopped after a while, and I looked at my watch. It was after 10, so I left the hotel and I went out to the gambling joint. I toured the room, but I couldn't find Wendy or Stan. I got a guy at the window, and he remembered somebody like Wendy, so I asked about her. He just pointed over at Frankie Fannon's office and went on making change. I crossed over and knocked at the door. The guy that opened it had a face like 3 pounds of warm putty. It was moist and pink, and he got the idea they put the color in with a spray gun. And if his heart was made of the same stuff, they drained the oil out first.
Yeah?
My name's Novak.
Who's arguing?
I want to talk to you.
Yeah?
Where's Wendy Morris?
I don't know.
She was in here tonight.
It's a jail term. I don't follow women home.
Am I supposed to buy that?
Look, Junior, I don't care whether you live or die. I haven't seen her.
How about her husband?
He owes me dough.
What else?
Ask his wife. He's an IOU to me. I don't know what you're doing here, but you better make your point fast.
Now, look, Fannin, if you got a party, I don't want to blow out the candles, but I want some answers.
Yeah?
She got boosted in here tonight. Why?
I brought her in for word games. I told her if her husband didn't square his fill, I'd work him into hamburger.
Yeah?
She offered to bring the buns. Now, that's all the talk you get, mister. Tip the girl on your way out. I need the money. Come in.
Choose up and tell me which one's Novak.
I am. What's on your mind?
And the other guy's Lucky. I'm Craig from Homicide.
Where's Hellman?
He's got a mouthful of canary, Novak.
That's right. I just left room 314 of the Galbraith Hotel.
So did I.
2 of us made it then. The girl didn't.
Novak, he's trying to tell you Wendy Morris is dead.
How do you know she's dead?
It's the only reason cops drool.
You want to see her, Novak?
No. She was better alive.
Come on down anyway. Maybe I didn't try hard enough.
When I walked out of there, I felt like a voice teacher with adenoids. Whoever Craig was, he was smart, and he tagged all the bases because as we moved through the lobby, he motioned to me, and the desk clerk nodded. Well, I didn't worry about that desk clerk because he hadn't said no for years. But when we got to room 314, I needed China Passage. There were 3 or 4 of Craig's men grouped along the dim hall like dirty shadows, and inside, Wendy Morris was stretched out looking in the wrong direction. There was a white sheet draped over, and I wondered where the hotel had borrowed that, but Craig wanted to talk.
You must have had a big beef, Novak.
Sorry, we were friends.
I'll bet that was fun.
I was supposed to meet her here. She didn't show.
The desk clerk says she did.
Not while I was here. I was in that gambling joint by 10:30.
The desk clerk says you asked about Wendy Morris. Then you came up here and killed her. That's the way I'm going to book you.
Check on her husband. You can fit him in near the top of the list.
She got one? It's a lot of blonde hair to keep indoors.
Huh?
Good blondes run like salmon.
Wait a minute, Craig. Give me that sheet. Well.
Yeah?
Craig, you better not book me for Wendy Morris.
Huh?
If you do, you'll mix up all the on-duty angels because somebody killed the wrong woman. This isn't Wendy Morris.
You must be wrong. How do you know?
How does anybody know? They look different. They got different personalities. Take your pick, Craig, but somebody got the wrong woman.
Take another look.
I don't need another. With Wendy, the first look's for names and faces.
Yeah?
If you take a second look, mister, it's for love. I guess Craig liked to pick his dead because when he found out the woman on the floor was somebody else, he started to shake a little and his mouth hung open like a broken screen door. I didn't blame him much. I tried to think back and piece it together, but it wouldn't work out. It almost made sense, like the broken phrases of an old conversation, but not enough of it came back, and, well, there was still something missing. What happened to Wendy Morris, and how about this girl on the floor? Where did she get her drag with heaven? I looked down at her again. She was pretty, if you like quiet girls. She had a vacant look in her eyes as if the brains had checked out without letting her know. And the color was starting to leave her face. The light was bad, and you had to look close to see her skin. There were little splotches of pink, and the rest was white, like shrimp that haven't been boiled long enough. Craig was worried, and that's something he couldn't hide.
Who is she, Novak?
I don't know, Craig. We didn't meet her soon enough to know. You should have checked.
The hotel register says Wendy Morris.
Who read it for you? Oh, you're tough, Craig. I'll bet you got the wino scared stiff.
Keep on talking. I'll get you some help. Come on in. He wants to make a statement. On the bed, Novak.
Where'd you get your boys, Craig? They look tired.
On the bed, Novak. All right, Joe, take his arm.
Yeah.
The other two, hold his head back against the bed. Okay. Where's Wendy Morris, Novak?
I don't know, Copper. You sure you're from homicide?
So it's against the law. Don't tell anybody. Now make a statement, Novak.
Yeah. Here's a statement about you, Craig.
We'll find out downtown. You can save some teeth. Where's the other girl?
I don't know.
Hold him up. Yeah. Where's Wendy Morris?
Craig, you can go.
Put his head against the bed.
It's for exercise now, Craig.
All right, he's not a season pass. We don't have to hang on to him.
Craig's boys left me hanging on the foot of the bed with somebody's dirty towel and an old garter the maid forgot to pick up last month. I felt my way down to the lobby and into the street, and most of the time, one question kept going through my mind. Craig was going to run me in before. Why had he changed his mind? Well, I found out when I started to turn the corner. Craig had a tail on me, and he was real hard to spot, like a red Nash at the top of the mark. He moved out from under a light near the pool room on the corner, and I watched him in the windows as we walked along. After a while, I quit worrying about him because I knew in a pinch he couldn't follow a conversation with a printed form. Well, I had a lot of ground to cover, so I looked up Jocko Madigan. He's a good guy, and he was a smart one, too. Until he found out if your eyes get red enough, you don't need rose-colored glasses. I finally found him at the cafe house, as tight as a tennis racket in the rain.
God rest ye merry gentlemen, let nothing you dismay.
Jocko, I want to talk to you.
Some belated Christmas carols, Patsy. The piano player quit and everybody else dropped out, so I'm doing it a cappella by myself.
All right, Jocko.
Christmas eluded me, Patsy. I got up through Christmas Eve, and then I seem to have missed Christmas entirely. Did they hold it this year?
Well, it wouldn't happen if you'd get up in the morning.
I refuse to get up early, Patsy. I refuse to get up in the morning until the streets have been aired. The only things that should be around at that hour are peasants and a bunch of random dew.
Jocko, will you listen? I'm in trouble.
I'm not surprised, because you're a counterfeit, Patsy. You're a piece of plate in a room full of sterling. You're like some of the rest of these people running around in a hurry.
Jocko, please.
Just plunging into anything. Look at the papers. Some people have spent years shooting a rocket 110 miles into the air. What's the use?
Will you listen?
What's the use? When you get 110 miles up, all you can do is turn around and come on back down again. We're killing time 110 miles in the air instead of learning to spend it down here.
All right, all right.
Oh, it's depressing, Patsy. Running around in a frenzy like a rooster in a barnyard full of ducks. I'm ready to take to drink.
Are you all through, Jocko?
Yes. Humanity's a tough life. What kind of trouble?
I bought a murder rap for $300.
Well, if it's a bargain, why complain? Who's dead?
I don't know who she is. Homicide found her in a hotel on Powell Street. I tagged by before the murder.
serves her right. If I were a woman, I wouldn't trust you in the middle of Stanford Stadium with 80,000 people.
It was the wrong woman. It was supposed to be a gal named Wendy Morris, but she didn't show.
Oh, that was shrewd of her.
I was hired by a lawyer named Crockett Odom to watch her.
Why?
She's a dipso.
She must have some faults.
Odom suspects her husband. He was in uniform, and now that he's back, Odom figures he's a fraud out for the girl's money.
Can't the girl tell the difference?
She's not sure.
I don't think she was observant.
Now, look, this is a big story, Jocko. I can't fill in all the holes. You got to help me. I want you to check on Crockett Odom, will you?
I'll need some money.
Oh, you'll booze it away. Now, hurry, Jocko. If you need money, get a job.
Oh, I can't go to work, Patsy. I'm a victim of my own conscience.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with a dilemma. I'm willing to go to work, but I work too cheaply. And on the other hand, I'll not support slave labor. So it's morally impossible for me to go to work. Good night, lover.
It was about 11:30 when I left Jocko, and the two beatings began to catch up with me. I had enough headache to pass out to a Bay Meadows crowd on a bad day. The tail behind me began to look tired, so I dropped by headquarters to give him a rest. I asked for the head of homicide, but the desk told me that Hellman was on his honeymoon, and they kind of laughed when they said it, as if they thought he got the girl there on a bench warrant. All they'd done at headquarters was identify the dead woman. Her name was Emily Van Kirk, and she had no record. I dropped by the hotel, and the first break showed down there. The desk clerk knew about Emily Van Kirk. He'd mixed the rooms up, and he'd put Wendy in the wrong one. That meant that maybe she was at the hotel after all. It also meant that Emily was in the clear. She was just a girl on her way to Seattle, and she got a longer ride than she paid for. I called Wendy's, but I couldn't get an answer, so I dropped by my place to wait for Jocko. Stanley Morris was there, chewing his fingernails, and when I walked in, he was up to the wristwatch.
Mr. Novak, where's my wife? You're hiding her.
She's good enough to hide, but this isn't the night.
Where is she? She must have gone to you after that hotel.
How do you know she was there? Did you drop by, too?
Doesn't make any difference.
Well, it makes a big difference to me. We're all out of phones. Now tell me about that hotel.
Crockett Odom told me to come there.
Why?
I don't know. I was supposed to be there at 10:30. It was some kind of a crazy scheme.
Was a dead girl mixed up in one?
Sorry it wasn't Wendy. Odom tried to break up this marriage. I wish he had.
You sound feeble, mister.
You don't know her the way I do. She's a cold-blooded animal. The only cold-blooded animal that doesn't bear fur.
You're building a case.
I don't know what'd have her around. I suppose you would. There's a certain localized beauty you'd go for, but nobody else would have her. They'd find out what she is, a puff at her with a good figure.
Yeah. Wait a minute.
Huh?
We got company. Somebody's coming in the door. Watch it. There goes the light. All right, stand back. He couldn't have died any faster with a priority. I got to the door and threw on the light switch, but whoever it was had gone, and the hall was dark. When I got back to Stan, he was lying there like a well-trained sponge. He wasn't a good enough guy to bleed in the living room, so I dragged him into the kitchen and left by the back way. I had to get word to Jocko, so I left a message at his place telling him to get in touch with me at Wendy's. I went up there to sit on her doorstep and wait if it took all night. I wasn't going to freeze, though, because she opened the door as soon as I knocked. She was still wearing that crepe gown, and she was yawning and stretching her arms. Oh, you might not want to bring her home to Mother, but you'd want to start anyway.
Do you always look at women this way, Patsy? I feel like Eve.
And I'll bet you get a kitchen full of apples. Do I argue or come in?
You may argue, but do it in here.
Yeah. When'd you get back?
Why?
Somebody just killed Stan.
If you're sure, the drinks are on me.
He didn't like you either.
We'd be even if he had anything to start with. Don't ever marry, Patsy.
Now, look, lady, I'm nursing a murder rap, and I need some answers. Was Stan a phony?
He's the same guy I married, if that's what you mean.
You weren't sure 4 hours ago.
I wanted an answer then.
What kind?
You're too far ahead, Patsy. Come to a trot and have a drink.
Lady, has anybody ever told you about a slow burn? I got one now.
I'll bet you have, darling.
Oh, this room isn't big enough for games, baby.
Come here, Patsy.
Go find a guy with a bag of wild oats.
Stop shadow boxing, Patsy.
All right, baby.
Patsy.
That's what makes the poor so happy. They don't have phones. Yeah.
Patsy, this is Jocko.
What'd you find out?
Crockett Odom is in love with Wendy Morris.
Does it go both ways?
Well, different rate of exchange, I got something else, too.
Yeah?
A will is a big temptation.
Go ahead.
If she bows out, all the dough goes to her husband. Maybe the guy is a fraud.
Oh, he's going to have it straightened out. What else?
The funny part of the will.
Uh-huh.
If they're both dead, all the dough goes to Crockett Odom. You better see him in a hurry.
Well, that doesn't make sense. If he killed her and got all that dough, it'd cost him that much to get another like her.
Maybe not.
Oh, you haven't seen her, Jocko. He wouldn't pass that up. She's nice and speedy.
Oh, I can explain that. When you're over 50, you don't mind the speed. It's the freewheeling you hate to think about.
When Jocko hung up, I knew he had a good pair of seats. That story of Stan's finally made sense. There was only one reason why he could have been called there at 10:30, and for the first time, I tumbled why Craig had let me go back in that hotel room. Everything was right in place, like a mix master in a bride's kitchen. I dropped by headquarters and left a note, and then the girl and I ran into Craig down at the desk. I briefed him on what had happened, and we rode up to Crockett Odom's apartment. When we got to the living room, things turned stormy.
Hello, Novak. It's too late to start a party.
You're going to like this one, Odom.
That's right, darling. You'll love it. This is Craig from Homicide.
He wants you for murder.
It doesn't sound right, Craig.
Novak's calling it. See him.
I talked to Stan before he died. He tipped your mitt, Crockett.
He couldn't tip a water glass.
He was smart enough to know you sent for him. That's why he didn't show at 10:30.
You better have it in writing.
No, I don't need it that way. I got Craig. He won't let you out that easy.
What's he talking about, Craig?
Homicide will shake him down too fast. You're with the walking dead now, Craig. I left a note. They know you killed the girl.
Are you crazy, Craig, to come up here?
I can't argue now. He's too lucky, Odom.
I got all sevens tonight, Craig. Crockett Odom sold you bad goods. He did everything wrong.
Thanks, Odom. I'm going to leave you, but don't let the bag get too heavy.
Now, wait a minute, Craig. You're not going to let me hang for this.
You won't. They burn in this state.
Stay away from that door, Craig.
Sorry, Odom. You dealt me in, but I got bad cards. I want to see you play 'em alone.
Can you get by this gun?
I'll make a try. Hang on to your skin. Give me a hand, Novak.
Yeah, anything to help you die. Here.
How's Odom?
He'll keep.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Novak. What'd I do wrong?
Everything. But mostly when you let me go up in that hotel room.
Yeah. I should have pinched you then. I'm a tender-hearted guy.
You're a bum, Craig. I can move you down a step lower even. You're a liar. I checked. You're not working for the city. They never heard of you downtown.
I'm not going to make it, Novak. Lay my head down.
Yeah. I'll put it down easy. Goodbye, Craig. I hope you have a long night. Craig made the morning he had to cheat. They patched up Odom and got most of the story out of him. Jocko was right. Odom got tired of chasing the girl and went after the money instead. He drummed up that phony story to plant a reason for a quarrel, and then he tried to pay it off in that hotel room. He offered a cut to Craig for the heavy-duty work. Wendy was supposed to show up at 10:15. Craig would kill her and wait. When Stan showed up at 10:30, Craig was supposed to stage a fight and kill him. That way, he'd be in the clear, and so would Odom. They'd say it was a husband and wife quarrel, and Craig had a phony shield to back him up. Craig dreamed up that story about being a cop. But the whole scheme went haywire when the desk clerk mixed up the rooms. Craig killed the wrong woman, and Stan got there late. That's why he got scared when it turned out to be somebody else, so he let me go. Odom was afraid that Stan had showed up and knew the story, so he had a ticket right away. The guy who tailed me was handy for that. When did I first tumble to something wrong? When I was sure that Crockett Odom had told a lie. He said the girl was a dipso, but when I got there, she was drinking soda with her whiskey. And a good dipso won't waste that much time. Well, it worked out all right. Hellman was on his honeymoon, so he didn't have any questions. I'll bet his wife did.
Novak for Hire was previously released by ABC, the American Broadcasting Company, for listeners in the United States, and rebroadcast for our men and women overseas. This is the United States Armed Forces Radio Service, the voice of information and education.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. You get a call from a man telling you that a woman has been badly beaten. Before you can get the name of the victim or any other information, the caller hangs up. Your job? Investigate. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield, first with premium quality. Chesterfield, first choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield, regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Friday, June 10th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way back from the main jail, and it was 8:10 p.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide. Frank?
Yeah?
Wait a minute, I want to talk to you.
I'm not going anyplace.
Oh. Well, I talked to Evans. I couldn't get any more out of him.
The arraignment's still set for the 14th, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Hey, can't you settle down for a minute and stop that pacing up and down? What's the matter? Something on your mind?
On my leg.
Oh, something wrong with it?
Not a thing. Just walking.
Well, I wish you could manage to stand still for a minute. I'm getting a little bilious following you around the room.
You know how far it is from here to the business office?
What do you mean?
How far?
Oh, it's just across the hall. Is that what you mean, 25 feet?
No, you're wrong. It's 1/210th of a mile.
Oh, that's good to know.
It's 1/6 of a mile to the crime lab, including the stairs. 1/8 of a mile to Sal's Cafe. 4 trips to R&I equals 1/4 of a mile. Never knew that, did you?
No.
Our grand total tonight so far is over 6 miles, and we're only half through. What do you think of that, Joe?
Well, what's it all prove?
Well, this is a walking job we got.
Well, everybody knows that, don't they?
Yeah, but I'm the only one in the department who knows exactly how far we walk.
That's fine. Any calls come in while I was out?
No. Like to know how I do it?
What's that?
It's done with a pedometer. Measures miles. Just fastens on your leg, see? At the end of the day, you know exactly how far you walk.
Yeah.
Gonna measure everything, Joe. Keep track. Gonna know exactly how far everything is.
What for?
Somebody might want to know.
Who? I get it. Homicide, Friday. Yeah. Now, what's that address again? Yeah. Right. Well, we got one to roll on.
What do you got?
Ambulance follow-up, Westlake area.
Yeah.
Woman's been beaten. 8:14 p.m. We left the city hall and drove to the address we'd been given. 8674 Cambria Street was a large private home that had been divided into apartments. The house was quiet and there was no sign of any disturbance. There was a woman sitting in a glider on the front porch. We went up and talked to her.
Something I can do for you?
Police officers, ma'am. We got a call that there'd been some sort of trouble here.
What kind of trouble?
A woman had been beaten. Is that right?
It must be some kind of joke. Nothing like that here. You sure you got the right address?
The one we were given, ma'am. You got an apartment 104?
Yeah, the last one back on the left. Rockmans live there, Mr. and Mrs.
We'd like to see the apartment.
Go ahead. Anything happened around here, I'd know about it. I'm the landlady. Anything happened, I'd know about it. Go ahead, you won't find anything.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Here it is.
I'll get it.
Better try the door, huh?
Yeah. Nobody here.
It looks like they had a party, huh? I'll check the back. No? No one out there.
Coffee on the table's cold.
You find anything?
Where's that door go, ma'am?
Bedroom.
Joe, this girl on the bed.
No. Yeah, it really worked her over, huh?
How about it?
See if I can find her pulse here. Yeah, she's still alive.
What is it? Something happened to Hazel?
Joe?
It's pretty bad. Both eyes black, bleeding. Is this Mrs. Rockman here?
Yeah, it's Hazel. What's wrong?
Where's her husband?
I don't know.
When'd you see him last?
Well, about 5 minutes ago.
Where was that?
On the front porch. He just walked out.
The ambulance crew arrived and immediately removed the victim to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital for emergency treatment. We got in touch with Officer Ed Barrett of the hospital detail and asked him to try to get a statement from the victim if she regained consciousness. We locked the door to the Rockman apartment to preserve any physical evidence we might need, and then we went down and talked to the landlady, Mrs. Ruth Baker. We found her on the front porch. We asked her what she knew about what had happened.
I sure wish I could tell you more. How about Hazel? Is she going to be all right?
We don't know yet, Miss Baker. She's pretty badly beaten.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you want from me?
Some questions we'd like to ask, ma'am.
About what? I've told you what I know.
Do you know where Mrs. Rockman's husband was going?
No, I don't. I don't much care either.
Did you see anything at all when he went out?
Not a word. Just walked out in a sort of daze, like a trance, sort of.
He didn't say anything at all to you?
I just got through telling you that he didn't.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. and Ms. Rockman fight often, would you know?
No, not any more than any married couple.
Miss Baker.
Yeah?
Wonder if you can give us a description of Mr. Rockman?
Description?
Yes, ma'am. Tell us what he looks like.
You figure he did that to Hazel, huh?
That's what we want to talk to him about.
What kind of description do you want?
About how tall is he?
About as tall as he is?
That'd be 5'10", huh?
If that's what you are.
How much would you say he weighed?
Wouldn't even make a guess. I don't notice things like that.
Yes, ma'am, but would you say he was medium build or heavy?
I'd say medium. Not too heavy, not too skinny. Medium.
What color's his hair?
Black.
How about his eyes?
Brown. Real dark brown.
He wear glasses?
No.
Was he clean shaven?
What do you mean?
Well, do you have a mustache?
No, he had one a while ago. He tried to grow one, but Hazel made him take it off. It never grew real well. Little scraggly thing.
What was he wearing when you saw him last?
Shirt and pants.
Could you tell us what color the shirt was?
No, and I can't tell you what color the pants were either. It's dark out here. I didn't pay much attention when he left. Just thought he didn't feel well. Sick from the party.
All right, Miss Baker. May I use your phone?
Sure, help yourself. It's in the living room, right inside the door to your left. You can't miss it.
All right, ma'am. Thanks. I'll call this in, Joe.
Right. You know, Miss Baker?
Yeah?
Does Mr. Rockman drink much?
Why do you ask that?
Well, I wonder if there might be some bar in the neighborhood that he might have gone to, maybe?
No, he doesn't drink much at all. Once in a while, he and Hazel have a glass of wine before dinner. You know, sharpen the appetite. Just a glass of wine before dinner.
Mm-hmm. And you haven't any idea where he might have gone?
Not the slightest.
Does he have any relatives in the city?
I can't answer that.
You mean you don't know?
Must have some people someplace. Most of us do, but I'm not the kind of person who pries into the private lives of my tenants. They pay their rent, no loud parties, and I don't bother them.
Now, about this party tonight.
Yeah, what about it?
Was there any trouble?
Not that I knew about.
You didn't hear anything? Any loud talking? Any arguments, maybe?
Nope, I wasn't at the party. Wasn't invited. Hazel gave it for her Tony friends. Going to play bridge. I wasn't there.
Yes, ma'am. Could you tell us who was there?
Never been able to get the hang of the game. Don't like cards. Chinese checkers, that's my game. Never could understand bridge, so I wasn't invited.
Well, can't you give us a list of the people who were there?
I suppose. Why do you need it?
We'd like to talk to them.
Well, I guess it'd be all right to give them to you. How's Hazel? You heard yet?
No, ma'am.
Sure a terrible thing. Not that maybe she didn't deserve it, but it's sure terrible.
Why do you say that, Miss Baker?
What do you mean, why do I say it? I say it because it's true. No other reason to say something.
Yes, ma'am, but what do you mean?
Just that it was bound to happen. Somebody was bound to haul off and slap her mouth shut one of these days, the way she talked.
Ma'am?
Accusing. Always accusing. Thought everybody in the world was after her. Always tell me that she knew about me, that I wasn't fooling anybody. The words she'd use. And they're supposed to be so Tony.
Well, did she have any enemies around her? Anyone to make her think that, would you know?
Well, she didn't have any right-out enemies. There were several people who didn't like her. They thought she was too snooty for them.
I call the office, Joe. They're putting out a broadcast.
Did you check him?
Yeah, nothing on him.
Mm-hmm.
Hope it's all right, ma'am. I left your number in case they want to reach us.
Sure, it's all right.
Can you give us the names of the people who were at the party tonight, ma'am?
Yeah, there was Lily Davis, the Harrises, and there was some fellow with Lily that I never saw before.
You know where we can get in touch with them, do you?
Well, the Harrises live up in 203, and Lily has an apartment 105 right across from the Rockmans. She ought to be able to tell you something. Don't know if it's going to be the truth, but she'll think of something to tell you.
Yes, ma'am. She a good friend of Mrs. Rockman's, do you know?
Oh, you bet. They're thick as thieves. Always having little lunches by themselves, talking secrets, buzzing around. Thieves. Myself, I never took to Lily. I always thought she was kind of wild. Divorcee, you know.
All right, Miss Baker, thank you very much. We'll be in 105 if there are any calls. Appreciate it if you'd let us know if Mr. Rockman comes in. Don't mention to him that we're here.
Mm-hmm. All right.
That was 105, you said?
Yeah.
Better talk to this Davis woman, huh?
Yeah, maybe she can tell us where Rockman is.
Yeah. 105, here it is.
Yes?
Miss Davis?
Yes. Is there something I can do for you?
Yes, ma'am. We're police officers.
What is it you want with me?
We'd like to talk to you, ma'am.
Oh, well, come in.
Thank you. I wonder if it'd be all right if we left the door open.
I suppose so. Any special reason?
Well, we'd like to keep an eye on the apartment across the hall.
Well, what's it about?
We understand that you know the Rockmans pretty well.
I suppose so. Why?
You have any idea where Mr. Rockman might be?
No, I don't. Isn't he across the hall?
No, ma'am, he isn't.
Oh, I don't know where he is. Have you talked to Hazel?
No, ma'am.
Well, why don't you ask her? She should know.
We were wondering if you could help us out.
No, last I saw of him was when he left their place.
Uh-huh.
Say, I wonder if you'd mind if I went ahead with what I was doing.
Ma'am?
It probably seems silly to you, but it's a hobby of mine. Wire sculpture. Silly, but it gives me a chance to relax.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you go right ahead.
I don't think I got your names.
Well, my name's Friday. This is my partner, Frank Smith.
How do you do,
How do you do,
Smith,
ma'am?
Mr. Friday? Well, what's all this about? Herman done something wrong?
No, it's just a routine investigation, Miss Davis.
Oh, mm-hmm.
We understand that you were at their place tonight, a party, huh?
Well, yes. Hazel was going to have a couple of tables of bridge.
Anything unusual happen while you were there?
No, nothing that you'd call really unusual.
Who was there, ma'am?
Oh, myself, the Harrises, they live upstairs, and Tom Reeves. Another couple were coming over after dinner, but they called and said they couldn't make it. It's just as well. None of us felt much like playing.
Why was that?
Well, Hazel wasn't feeling very well. She and Herman had a little argument. You know how it is, kind of uncomfortable. Excuse me. Hello? Yes. Oh, yes, Tom. No. Well, you've got to understand she wasn't feeling too well. Mm-hmm. Just one of those things. Yeah. What? No, I've got a meeting that I want to go to tomorrow night. Modern art, yes. At a place down on Melrose. Well, sure, if you want to. Mm-hmm. All right. You want to pick me up about 7? Right. Okay. See you then. Bye. Excuse me, that was Tom. He's a nice boy. I just met him tonight. The Rockmans set it up.
Mm-hmm. What was this argument that the Rockmans had? Do you know what that was about?
Well, it was nothing, just a little thing. Hazel hadn't been feeling well lately. It's awfully easy to set her off. I guess sometimes Herman doesn't realize it.
Yes, ma'am, but what caused it tonight?
Well, you see, Hazel's been thinking that there was somebody been following her, spying on her. She told Herman about it tonight. That made him a little angry. And, well, then at dinner we just sat down. Mrs. Harris said that she'd seen a picture of the dress that Hazel had on in the morning paper. Well, Hazel didn't understand. I guess she thought that Mrs. Harris was being nasty about it. And she got up and left the table, went into the bedroom.
Yes, ma'am.
Herman got up and went in after her. Came out and said that she wasn't feeling well. It kind of threw a damper on the evening, so when the other couple called and said that they wouldn't be able to make it, we all decided to call it quits.
Mm-hmm. Was there any reason for Mrs. Rockman to feel that there was somebody spying on her?
Oh, no, Mr. Friday. It was just one of those things. She'd go along fine, feel good, and then she'd wake up in the morning and start to think about things, and she'd get depressed. Well, when she's like that, there isn't anything that can lift her out of it. We used to talk about it. I'd try to help her. Same thing happened to me, I know. It's just one of those things.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe if they'd had children, it'd be different, but lately she hasn't been feeling well, and she and Herman haven't been getting along. He just didn't seem to understand. She'd get angry, and he'd work late, and the more he worked late and stayed away from home, the more she'd fret and get angry. It's just a vicious circle. Nothing anyone can do about it. It'll pass with time.
Mm-hmm. When Rockman went in to see his wife, did they argue?
Well, they had a few words, a little loud, nothing serious. Then he came out and said that everything was all right.
Ma'am, did Rockman ever get violent toward his wife, do you know?
What do you mean, violent?
He ever hit her?
No, I don't think so. A couple of times when I was over there, he looked like he might be thinking of it, but I never saw it. I think if he ever did hit her, Hazel would have told me. We were very close, as I said. I tried to help her.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few loud words. That's all I ever knew about. Anyway, after Herman came out of the bedroom, we all decided to leave. This fellow, Tom, he wanted to go on, you know, out someplace, but I was a little tired, and I'd just met him tonight, so I begged off and came home.
Yes, ma'am.
Can't you tell me what this is all about?
Miss Davis?
Hello, Mrs. Baker. Something you want?
I want to see the police. Mr. Smith, your office called, said you were to call this number right away. Here's the number they gave me. They said you'd know. I wrote it down.
Thank you, ma'am. Here, you want to call, Joe?
Yeah. What if I use your phone, Miss Davis?
Sure, help yourself.
Thank you.
Isn't this the most awful thing you've heard in all your life?
What?
Well, about Herman, what he did. Terrible. They ought to send him away for a long time, a good long time.
Dr. Hall, please.
What are you talking about?
All the ambulances, the police, never had a thing like this happen before. All the excitement, and what Herman did, just terrible. That's all terrible.
Miss Baker, would you wait just a minute, please?
Well, somebody tell me what this is all
Hello,
about.
Doc Hall, this is Joe Friday. Yeah. Well, we're here now. She is. You sure about that, right? Yeah, well. Hey, Doc, right. No, we'll call him right out. Yes, it does. Right. Bye. Georgia Street.
Yeah?
Ms. Rockman died. It was something else.
What?
She wasn't beaten. She was shot to death.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
9:10 p.m. We called the crime lab, and Ray Pinker and a crew were sent out to check the physical evidence at the scene. We contacted Ed Barrett at the hospital, but he said the woman had not regained consciousness. Frank and I went upstairs to talk with Mr. and Mrs. Harris. They gave us substantially the same story we'd gotten from Lily Davis. They agreed that when Rockman went into the bedroom to see his wife, they'd heard loud voices but nothing else. They stated positively that as far as they knew, there'd been no shot fired while they were in the Rockman apartment. 9:17 p.m. We checked with the other people in the apartment building. None of them could report having heard a shot. From them, we got the same story of Mrs. Rockman's actions. Some of the neighbors said that they didn't get along with her. Others seemed to understand her feelings. 9:22 p.m. We checked back with Ray Pinker and the crew from the crime lab.
We didn't spend a lot of time here, Ray. The husband looked good for it. We were trying to round him up.
Shooting was a real surprise, huh? Looked like a beating to us. We couldn't tell. The boys from Georgia Street got her out of here right away.
Yeah.
Did you come up with anything, Ray?
Yeah, a couple of things. How you fellas got it figured?
Well, talking to the neighbors, looks like the husband does.
Talked to him?
No, he walked right out after it happened. Got out a broadcast on him. Nothing's turned up yet, though.
Mm-hmm.
How's it look to you, Ray?
Well, I'm not sure I can go along with you guys on the husband.
Yeah?
I talked to Doc Hall. We aren't going to be able to know for sure till they post the body. Woman was slapped around, we know that.
Yeah, we saw her. It looked pretty brutal to us.
You mean the black eyes?
Yeah.
What Doc Hall says, that didn't come from a beating. He says the bullet did it.
Was he pretty sure about it?
Looks like it. Autopsy will prove it.
Where'd you find the gun?
Under the bed. Over here, right side.
Mm-hmm.
Indentation on the floor here. Evidently fell from her hand, bounced back under the bed.
Any prints on it?
Lifted 3 clean ones.
You been able to make them?
Lifted some from the dressing table over there. Perfume bottles, mirror. Looks like they might belong to the dead woman. Check them for sure later.
And you figure maybe she did it herself then, huh?
Well, it's beginning to shape up.
Well, how about the shot, Ray? Nobody we've talked to heard it.
Here's the explanation for that. This pillow here. See the bullet hole here? Burn?
Yeah.
Doc Hall says she was shot in the back of the right ear. She must have held the gun in the pillow. That muffled the sound. What noise there was wouldn't be heard very far.
Well, how can you be sure it was suicide, Ray?
Just an idea now. We roll the dead woman's prints, run a blotter test on her, see if she fired the gun. Check for nitrate, we'll know for sure.
Well, how long will that take?
I'll be finished in an hour or so. I'll let you know then. From where I sit, though, it looks like she did it herself.
Yeah. I still don't understand about the black eyes, though.
The way I get it, the bullet entered just behind the right ear. Passed behind the eyes. I've seen it a couple of times before.
Yeah, but Doc Hall said that she'd been slapped a couple of times, Ray.
Yeah. Said he found a couple of bruises on her cheeks. Not enough to do any damage, though. Sure not enough to kill her.
Mr. Friday? Mr. Friday?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you come right over to my place? Herman's on the phone.
What's that?
Mr. Rockman. He called to find out how Hazel was.
All right.
Phone's right there.
Thank you. Hello? 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 He's not there now. What'd he say?
Well, he asked me if I knew how Hazel was. I told him that she was dead, and then I asked him where he was.
Did he tell you?
No. He just said for me to tell people that he was sorry he did it, for me to tell them that he didn't mean it.
Mm-hmm.
He said he didn't mean to kill Hazel.
Well, the way it looks, he didn't do it.
And you better find him right away.
Yeah?
He thinks he did, and he's going to kill himself.
We talked to the landlady, Ruth Baker, but she was unable to tell us where Herman Rockman was employed. Lily Davis told us that he was a car salesman employed at a lot in the south end of town. We asked Miss Davis to stay by our phone in the event that Rockman called back and to let us know immediately if he did. We found an address book in the desk in the living room of the apartment, and we began to call Rockman's friends and relatives. None of them had seen him or could tell us where he worked. 9:45 p.m. It had been 20 minutes since the husband of the dead woman had called and said that he was going to kill himself. At 9:46 p.m., we contacted a brother-in-law of the dead woman, and he told us that as far as he knew, Rockman had been employed by the Bateman Auto Agency in Gardena. We got the number from information, and I put in the call. Hello, is this the Bateman Auto Agency? Well, this is Sergeant Joe Friday, Los Angeles Police Department. Yes, sir. Do you have a Herman Rockman working for you? Yes, sir, that's right. ROCKM. Uh-huh. I see. When was that? Yeah. You any idea where he's working now? Uh-huh. Yes, sir, I understand. Yeah, well, have you got the number? Fine, yeah. Would you know if they're open this time of night? I see. Okay, all right, sure, I'll hold on. How about it? Says Rockman did work for him. He hasn't seen him in a couple of... Yes, sir. Yeah. Uh-huh. That's 03. Right? Yes, sir. Thanks very much. Says he's heard Rockman's working for a company out on Washington Boulevard now. Left him a couple of weeks ago. Hello. Do you have a Herman Rockman working there? Hello. Hello. Somebody answered. As soon as I asked about Rockman, he hung up. Think it was him? There's no way of telling. We better check on it quick. You got the address? Yeah, it ought to take us about 5 minutes to get there. Let's go. We still got a chance. 9:50 p.m. We left the apartment and we drove out Westlake Avenue and turned down to Washington Boulevard. We traveled code 3, but because of the possibility of alarming Rockman, we turned off the sirens 6 blocks from the address of the used car lot. 9:54 p.m. We got to the place. The lot was dark. At the rear and back of a line of cars, we could see a small shack.
I hope he's here. Yeah. There's no lights on. The door's locked. Let's try the side. There's a window around there.
Right.
Can you see anything?
No, the window's dirty. Got your flashlight?
Yeah, here you go.
Give me it. How about it? He's in there. Looks like he's out. Come on. Let's hit it.
Right. Pull the gas. Kill your flashlight.
Right. I'll get him out of here. You want to get that heater?
Right. The window's stuck. Break it.
How about it? We're still alive. Fresh air should bring him around.
Yeah.
Rockman. Come on, Rockman. You're all right. Come on. Sit up.
Why'd you do it? Why'd you stop me?
No reason for you to kill yourself.
I got a reason. I killed Hazel. I didn't mean to. I loved her more than anything. I didn't mean it. I didn't know I hit her that hard.
All right, settle down. You didn't kill her, Rockman.
Nobody asked you to come down here. I called you to take care of her. I knew it was too late. I killed her. She's dead, and it's my fault. Why'd you come here? Why'd you stop me?
All right, now take it easy, will you, Rockman? Straighten yourself out here. You didn't kill your wife, Rockman. You understand?
What?
We don't think you killed her. We think she did it herself.
Huh? Oh. Well, she wasn't well. She was sick. She didn't know what she was doing. She did the wrong thing, didn't she? Her way wasn't right. I loved her, very much.
Yes, sir, we understand.
Doesn't really make any difference. You stop me. No difference.
Sir?
Doesn't make any difference that you stop me. I loved her. No difference at all.
How's that?
I died with her.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 15th, an inquest was held in the coroner's office in and for the county of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that inquest.
Now, here's our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, next Sunday, June 21st, is Father's Day. Your neighborhood dealer has the special Chesterfield Father's Day carton on sale right now. So remember the guy who never forgets you. Don't give him just any cigarette. Give him premium quality Chesterfields, regular or king size. They're best for him.
At the coroner's inquest, it was decided that the wound that killed Hazel Eileen Rockman was self-inflicted. The death was listed as a suicide. Her husband, Herman George Rockman, was not held. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, June Whitley, Lillian Byatt. Script by John Robinson, Ben Alexander. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis Show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields. Either regular or king size, you'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
My name's Jeff Regan. I get 10 a day in expenses from a detective bureau run by a guy named Lyon. Anthony J. Lyon. They call me the Lion's Eye.
With Jack Webb as Jeff Regan, Investigator, stand by for hard-boiled action and mystery and thrilling adventure in tonight's story of The Man Who Came Back.
Well, this is the way it started. It was a hot Tuesday afternoon, about 4 o'clock. Melody was sitting at her typewriter watching a tired-looking fly crawl across the ceiling. She didn't say a word, just waved an arm in the direction of his door.
Certainly we will, Mr. Brondike. Absolutely. Certainly. Yes, of course. Come in, Regan. Yes. All right, Mr. Brondike. Yes, he'll be there in an hour. All right, half an hour. Goodbye. Regan, you're it.
I'm what?
Here's his address. Name's Elmer Brondike. Has the real estate office in Altadena. Check came by a special messenger half an hour ago. It was late, but the bank tells me it's good. So you're it.
You know, that's what I like, efficiency.
It's too hot to be funny. I want you to hop out there and see what he's excited about.
Didn't he tell you?
Yeah, he's one of those nasty old coots. He didn't make much sense on the phone. Something about someone coming back. Besides, his teeth were slipping around.
Yeah.
Anyhow, it's a job. Business has been terrible lately.
You know, I still want my expenses on that Tartaglia thing.
Have you ever come up short with me?
Yes, I have.
You'll get all that's coming to you.
When?
As soon as Melody gets the bill from that hospital, because that's coming out of your check. Now, beat it out there and find out what this guy wants and call me if you're running into any trouble.
Brondike Manor was a brown-white cottage on the edge of 10 acres of dusty land in back of Foothill Drive. There was a big sign right in front of it telling you how easy it is to own your own land and have your own home on Brondike Estates. Well, I parked across the highway, and it was just about then that a big, heavy-set man wearing a dirty white Panama hat and a suit that didn't fit him around the stomach crawled out of a 36 Ford sedan, jammed a cigar in his mouth, and came over to my car. He had hair in his ears.
Yeah, hot afternoon, ain't it? Yes, sir, sure is hot. Sure is a hot afternoon.
Yeah, it is if you spend it sitting in a car pulling on a bottle.
Smell it, huh?
A mile away.
Just trying to beat the heat.
Okay, you've been parked in the car beating the heat.
Yeah, you win. Ain't much good trying to look like a guy who wants to buy a house.
Yeah. Who do you look like?
Yeah, it's a little greasy, but it's me.
Marty Anderson. Confidential investigation.
Guess I ought to have new ones printed up, huh?
All right, you're a sleuth. How's business, Marty?
Bunk.
Too bad.
You going in to see old man Brondike?
Your nose is getting sunburned, Marty.
I was just going to go and see him myself when I spot you pull up. Recognize you from pictures in the paper last week on that Tartaglia thing. I figured maybe you and me ought to talk.
Yeah.
Hey, you make it tough for a guy, Regan. We're in the same racket. What you going to see him about?
You said you were going in to see him.
Well, I kind of changed my mind when I seen you.
This is where I came in.
Ah, you're a tough guy, Regan. You're a real tough guy, and a lot of people know it. But Marty Anderson's betting you're a dumb guy, too. A real dumb guy.
Mm-hmm. See you around, Marty.
I'm an old conk, huh? A fat old slob who couldn't get a trick as a housekeeper or a tail in a bunk. Is that it?
Oh, but don't get too close. That's a real bad label you got a hold of.
Okay, Regan, okay. You're young and tough, but you just keep my card, wise guy. You'll want to see me. You'll want to see me before it's all tied up.
Mr. Brondike, please. Elmer Brondike. He's expecting me.
Your name, please?
Regan.
Sir Regan. R-E-G-A-N?
No. You don't have to write it down, lady.
And your business?
Private.
I'm afraid I'll have to know a little more than that, Mr. Regan.
Is it always this hot in here?
Yes, and I'm sick and tired.
Look, just flip your switch and tell him I'm here, will you? He sent for me.
Wait a minute, please.
Well, what is it, Connie?
It's Mr. Regan here, Dad. He says he's expected. I don't find him listed on your appointment book.
Don't be an idiot. Send him in. Send him in.
Let me go in now, Mr. Regan.
Yeah, thanks. Is he always like that?
Most of the time. Other times he's bad.
High blood pressure?
He's got it high, low, and in between. I hate him.
A winner, huh? I'm sorry, Connie. That is your name, isn't it?
Go on in before I quit.
Don't just stand there. Come on in and shut the door. What took you so long? Now, you're Jeff Regan, huh? Now, you don't look much like a private detective to me. Sit down. Where did I put that thing?
Over there by the inkwell.
What? Oh, well. Now then, Regan, about this Collier. He's a no-good tramp. You understand that? A no-good tramp. I'll see that he goes right back up to San Quentin if I have to. I'm a dangerous man to play games with. He found that out once, and if he keeps up this business, he's going to find it out again.
All right, you're dangerous. He's a no-good tramp, San Quentin.
Say, are you mocking me?
No, I'm not. I'm just wondering what you're talking about.
I just told you everything. You got ears? Can't you hear?
I don't hear anything but a lot of blubbering, and that doesn't make any sense.
Too big gum here.
Connie told me all about your high blood pressure. You better watch that.
She did she? Well, Connie talks too much. That's what's the matter with her. She talks too much.
Oh, sure, and you'd fire her, only she's your daughter, and you'd have to pay somebody else 3 times what you pay her to take everything she has to take.
Get out of here. Get out of my office. Get out. Get out. No, never mind. Sit down. Just hot. Heat always gets me.
Yeah, me too. Now, do you want to tell me about it?
He's an ungrateful scoundrel.
Who?
Toby Collier. Who else? Well, I took that boy in as my junior partner in Brondike Estates when he was nothing more than a car washer in a filling station. And how does he repay me?
Hey, you're letting the heat bother you again.
No, it isn't the heat, Regan. I'll tell you that. It's those phone calls. Phone calls telling me to beware and watch out. And a lot of other nonsense.
Now we're getting close.
They let him out of San Quentin last week. You'd think he'd go somewhere where people didn't know him and wash cars again or something. But no. He has to start telephoning my office and telling me he's back and that he's going to get me.
What was he doing in San Quentin?
2 to 10 on an embezzlement count.
How long ago was that?
3 years ago. I guess he got time off or something.
Why is he sore at you?
I had to testify against him. It was my firm. He was chiseling.
So now he's out of the clink and he's phoning you and trying to throw a scare into you, huh?
He may be out, but he isn't scaring me or anybody else, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
I want you to find him, wherever he is. Bring him here.
All right.
And then I want to tell him like I'm telling you. If he keeps bothering me with those phone calls, if he persists in threatening me, then I'll haul out some stuff I have in my safety deposit box and send him back up there on a swindling rap. Just to get him out of my hair.
You withheld evidence at that trial?
I withheld nothing. Just be a new charge, and I could make it stick if I wanted to.
All right, tell me the rest of it.
What do you mean, say the rest of it? No more to tell. He's a punk. He's got to get in trouble.
Where'd Marty Anderson figure?
What?
Anderson, Marty. Confidential Investigations. Big, dirty-looking ape who shaves every other day.
Oh, that rum pot. How do you know about him?
He tried to shake me down outside your office.
He would. Yeah, he's just a second-rate gum heel I called in 3 years ago when I thought Collier might be fixing my books. I think it's the only job he ever had. He's been pestering me ever since.
Did he testify against Collier?
Of course he testified against Collier. That was part of his job. Is there anything else you want to know?
Yes, there is. Why'd you call International instead of the police?
You're pretty nosy, aren't you?
I'm a lot of things. Now, come on, why?
Because every time you call a cop around this town, there's always some snoopy reporter hanging around the sergeant's desk. I got $500,000 tied up in this here gravel pit. I don't want anybody who's going to buy into it thinking that I might get knocked over by some loony. That's why I want it all quiet. Does that satisfy you?
No, it'll do for now. You'll probably come up with something better later on.
Are you done?
All right, where's Collier?
If I knew, I wouldn't have called you in.
You have a family here, a home, a wife, something?
He was all alone. He had a mother somewhere, I guess.
Pictures?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep these.
When am I going to hear from you?
When I find something.
You bring him to me.
I'll ask him to come. He doesn't have to.
You just spring that swindling rap on him. He'll come.
Yeah, and if it's no good, he can turn right around and slap a slander suit right in your face, and I wouldn't blame him.
Don't you forget you're working for me, young man.
No, I won't.
Regan, you've got a nasty way of talking. People don't talk to me like that.
Yeah, well, this is a brand new crowd of people, Frosty Top, and we talk just like we feel. Down at the city hall, they didn't have anything on Toby Collier, except that he'd been released from San Quentin August 10th. From there, I went to the parole board office, but it was closed by that time. So I did the next best thing, and I sent a wire to the officer in charge of parole prisoners, San Quentin, asking for Collier's address. Then I dropped into the Times office, and I looked up the story of the trial. It was a page 3 item for 2 days, a second section filler for a week. After that, nothing. There were no pictures. But it did give the name of Collier's lawyer, a man named Alan Nordale. The phone book gave him an address over on Kingsley.
That you, Millie? Hold on just a minute. I was just trying to get my dinner over before you... Who are you?
Mr. Nordale?
Mm-hmm.
Well, my name's Regan. I'm a private investigator. I'm trying to locate a former client of yours, a man named Toby Collier.
Well, come in. I was expecting Millie, but come in.
Thank you.
I always fix my own dinner, poached egg and half. I have ulcers. Name's Regan?
Yeah.
You want an egg?
No, thanks.
You mind if I finish?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. What's what with Toby Collier?
Well, I'm just trying to locate him, that's all. I found out that you were his lawyer. He was released from San Quentin 10 days ago.
Yeah. You sure you won't have an egg? You get used to him after a while. Who you work for, Regan?
International Detective Bureau.
The line's still there?
Yeah.
Well, so you're the line's eye, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lines is a bandit. But whose case?
Elmer Brondike.
Mm-hmm. What you want Toby for?
Ball him out for making threatening phone calls.
That all?
As far as I know.
Yeah, Toby was a nice kid, but a calendar job. Born with one war going, one depression on deck, and a new war starting. Makes a difference. Yeah, the calendar got him.
And he wound up in San Quentin.
Well, everything was against him at the trial, too. He was pretty mad at old man Brondike and that private dick, and me and everyone else before it was all over. I tried to talk to him.
From what Brondike tells me, he's still mad.
Yeah, I did all I could, but he didn't have a chance. He tried to lift a lousy couple $1,000, and they caught him. Well, he's out now.
Did you handle his parole?
No.
You know who did?
No.
You don't know where he is in town?
No.
Well, Brondike said he had a mother.
No.
Okay. I'll leave you to Millie.
Yeah. If we play records, Millie used to be a violinist. Sorry I'm no help. Regan, if you find Toby, I'd like to see him.
Why?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I just want to see what 3 years in the pen does to a man like that.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Where are you now? Did you find Collier?
I'm calling from home.
Home? What about Collier?
I didn't find him yet.
Well, get busy. What are you waiting for?
A telegram, morning, couple of things.
Listen, this old schmo is plenty tough, and if he thought you were local...
Look, it's 9 o'clock at night. I'm tired. There's nothing I can do till tomorrow morning.
He's sort as a shaved pup about all this, and especially about you. Phoned up and said you call him a lot of names.
He is a lot of names.
I don't care what he is. You don't talk to a client like that. Besides, I haven't cashed his check. Now go on out and find that guy and get this thing settled. Good night, Regan.
Besides, I haven't cashed his check. Well, I just set down the phone and started at the door when it happened. Connie Brondike was standing there, and she didn't waste any time. She didn't say a word, just pulled the trigger. The first 3 brought down plaster on the ceiling. The 4th one ruined the shoulder on my suit. The 5th gave me a haircut. I made a grab for it, and I missed. I took the empty gun in my face. Next thing I knew, she pulled off one of those high spiked heels and raised it above my head. I tried to stop her, but my arms wouldn't work, and that's all I remember.
You are listening to the story of the man who came back. Tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator. They're still available for qualified nurses. Yes, the Army Nurse Corps Reserve still has commissions available. If you are a graduate registered nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, you may be eligible for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps section of the Regular Officers Reserve. Those who meet the high standards and qualify to serve with this fine organization may elect active or inactive status. Nurses requesting inactive status will continue with civilian nursing, but stand ready to serve in time of emergency. In addition, they have the opportunity to take advantage of special training courses. Nurses who request active status enjoy the same privilege of all other officers. Graduate work is provided at the Army's most modern teaching centers, and the nurses obtain educational experience that benefits them in both civilian and military nursing. If you believe you qualify for a commission in the Army Nurse Corps Reserve, Apply to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. And now, back to the story of the man who came back and Jeff Regan, Investigator.
Oh, yeah. Connie had done a real good job. 6 to 5, I'd never get there before it stopped ringing. Oh. All right. Hello?
Regan, is that you?
Yeah,
What's the matter? Did I get you up?
something like that.
This is Marty Anderson.
Did you wash your face yet?
Still feeling tough, huh? I thought maybe we could talk now.
Yeah. What made you think that?
You're looking for Collier, ain't you? I know where he is.
Yeah?
Want to talk?
Where?
My place, on my card.
Half an hour.
I'll wait for you, tough guy. Bring some money. This is going to cost you.
Everything's going to cost me. Bring some money.
Mr. Regan, it's me, Jake. You all right in there? Go, Regan! Go! You all right, Mr. Regan?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I told you it was all right. Now, honey, go. I was real worried. I thought I heard some shots, and I see this one jumping down the stairs like she had a good homicide somewhere. You sure you're all right?
Go on me. Take your hands off
All
me.
right, Jake, let her go. She's a friend of mine.
Sure, it's all right. Hey, you're bleeding. Look at the plaster. Who them was shot?
Of course they were shot.
Jake, let her go, will you? Huh?
Sure.
I was cleaning a gun.
Oh, cleaning a gun. Funny time to clean a gun, 10 o'clock at night.
Well, I do a lot of funny things. Come up and have a drink sometime, will you, Jake?
Okay, Mr. Regan, okay. Good night.
All right. Oh, no, you don't, lady. Stay right where you are. No, we're going to talk.
You hurt my arm.
I'll rough you up good if I have to. Now, come on.
I only wanted my pictures.
Oh, save it, lady.
I didn't have any right to give them to you. They were mine. Should have done that.
So you come over to get them, and you take 5 shots at me and slam a gun in my face. Why don't you finish the job with your heel?
I couldn't do it. I was going through your wallet looking for the pictures. I saw your license. You're a private detective. You're looking for Toby, aren't you? That's why you had the pictures. You're looking for Toby.
Collier, your boyfriend?
Yeah, we were going to get married.
Only he went to the pen, huh?
Those pictures. That's all I had left of them.
He didn't write?
No.
You know he's out now.
Yeah?
Has he gotten in touch with you?
Why should he? He thinks I was in on it.
In on what?
The whole dirty, rotten thing. Toby was framed. Dad hired that Marty Anderson to help him do it.
How do you know he was framed?
I've been working for my dad for 5 years. I see things.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
That's the truth.
Oh, yeah, everybody's full of the truth. All the liars are dead.
Look at me. Well, go ahead and look at me, Mr. Regan. I'm not what you'd call beautiful. I ain't even pretty. I'm tall and gawky. No man would ever look at me twice. Toby looked at me. He loves me, but... What you gonna do to him when you find him?
Well, he's been threatening your father on the phone. I'm just going to take him there.
Yeah, would you bring him to me first? Would you let me talk to him?
Why?
Forget that. Maybe I can hold him in my arms and make him forget all his hate and everything he's gone through. Maybe he'll still love me. We can go away together and get married. You know where he is. Can you find him tonight?
Maybe.
You gonna help me, mate?
I got to see a man.
Guess I went kind of crazy tonight, huh? I don't know. I've been thinking about him so much lately.
Yeah. Well, next time, give me a little thought, will you? Good night, lady. Well, Marty Anderson's office was a dirty room hanging over a shoe repair shop on Sunset near Alvarado. You could tell it belonged to him. The glass on the door hadn't been washed for 10 years. He didn't answer when I knocked, so I tried my keys on the door. The third one worked. Inside, it smelled like a pile of wet gunny sack. The only light was kind of a thick green from a neon sign going on and off outside the window. There was an old army cot in one corner, and right in front of the window, a big black roll-top desk and a cracked leather chair. He was sitting there looking at the neon light he couldn't see anymore. One dirty hand was on top of a scratch pad near the phone, and the other was inside his coat. When I pulled it out, it was covered with blood and the rest of a pint of cheap whiskey. I found a .38 cartridge case on the floor. He didn't have anything in his pockets except some keys and a plug of chewing tobacco. There wasn't anything in the desk drawers either. When I started to call homicide, I had to move his hand. The name Collier was written on the scratch pad, and there was an address to go with it.
Police Department, 24.
Extension 2521, please.
Homicide, Chandler.
Lieutenant Wendy.
Off tonight. Who's calling?
All right, take this down, Sergeant. Shoe shop, Sunset near Alvarado.
Yeah?
One flight up.
Yeah?
Office. Belongs to a private detective named Marty Anderson.
Yeah?
Got all that?
Yeah.
He's dead.
What? Hey, who is it?
The Santa Monica fog was all over Flower Street on the 1300 block south. The streetlight didn't do much good. Just kind of hung around and watched everything get wet. I used a half a pack of matches finding my address.
Out kind of late tonight, aren't you, Pilgrim? What'll it be?
Toby Collier here?
He was here.
All right, I'll wait.
He ain't gonna be here no more.
You a friend of his?
Never met the guy.
Yeah.
It's midnight, beat it.
All right, wait a minute.
Oh, like that, huh?
Any way you want it.
I'm gonna do you a favor. I'm gonna tell you something.
All right, Santa Claus.
Before I turned night watcher, they call me the Candy Kid. 6'4", pound of 2 under 300. It'd be assault with a deadly weapon if I slapped you in the mush, but you're tempting me. Now, beat it.
All right, wait a minute.
Being a night watcher ain't slowing me down now.
All right, now maybe this will. I just came from Marty Anderson's.
So what?
He's dead.
So what?
And in about a half an hour, the cops are going to be here looking for Toby Collier.
Yeah? Well, they can just dig him up and talk all they want.
Dig him up?
Are you blind or drunk or something? This outfit buried him this afternoon. This is a mortuary.
Well, when I got home, she wasn't there, but a telegram was there. It was a long answer from San Quentin telling me how Collier had been brought to Los Angeles on a stretcher and the hospital that he was in, and a lot of other things. It took me 20 minutes to get out to Aladino, but I was too late. Well, her aim was a lot better this time. By the time I got through the door, the old man had dropped his gun and was kind of hanging onto a piece of drapery by the window.
Got it. Get your minute.
Well, you've turned into a real Annie Oakley, haven't you?
Good to see him like that. Real good.
You want to give me that gun? It's empty.
Sure, why not? He had it coming for a long time.
You read my telegram?
Yeah, I read it. And I phoned the hospital, and they told me Toby was dead. Bad heart. Wasn't that bad heart that killed Toby? It was him. He killed him.
You don't have to make those faces. They don't make him any deader.
You think I'm nuts, don't you?
No, I'm not a lawyer, lady. You can plead any way you want.
Well, I'll never tell it to a court.
Don't bet on that.
You aren't such a bad guy. I'll tell it to you.
All of it?
How many tramps you met in your life, Regan? Real tramps.
Some just thought they were tramps.
Well, you met the genuine product today. Take him. For 10 years, he's been packing away money. When the income tax people got close, he goes out and he finds Toby in a filling station.
And makes him a junior partner.
Yeah, works an embezzlement frame up that makes Toby the fall guy.
That way he doesn't have to straighten out any books.
Tramp number 1. Genuine, huh? And then there's number 2, a private dick named Marty Anderson. Pig.
Oh, he's dead. Somebody shot him tonight.
Yeah, he did it. The only decent thing he ever did in his life. Marty was in on it. He testified against Toby in court.
But Marty wanted money.
Yeah, all the time for the old man killed him.
And it was supposed to look like Toby.
Only Toby was dead. Yeah. Toby was dead, and he couldn't kill anybody.
When you find out about Toby, you come back and you do some shooting yourself, don't you?
You killed Toby.
At the morgue, they told me it was his heart.
His heart, his soul, everything that made him. He was on a hospital ward all the time he was in prison. He'd only written and told me.
All right. Come on.
He's got to take me down.
Yeah.
Don't make no difference now.
This Toby, you must have loved the guy.
I'd have died for him.
Yeah, lady. I guess you will. Well, that's the way it came out. Brondike killed Marty Anderson because Marty was trying to sell me what he knew about Collier's trial. Oh, Marty was a lousy private detective making those phone calls and trying to make Brondike think it was Collier. Well, the Lion was mad because I phoned homicide and then ran away. He said it'd give the agency a bad name. And then he began talking the way he does.
Funny thing about all this, Regan, those two going for each other.
Yeah.
She was nothing to look at. Him, he was a smart guy.
He wound up in prison, didn't he?
Yeah, but he was a smart guy. He was just framed.
Not many smart guys get framed.
What do you mean?
I mean, Collier sold out to Brondike, and then he made the frame deal.
How do you know?
Collier left a will.
You think Eddie made a go of it? I mean, gotten married or something if all this hadn't happened?
Nope.
Why not? She went for him and he went for her. Say, he didn't serve much time on a 2 to 10 rap. He must have had a smart lawyer.
No, you mean doctor.
What?
He had a heart condition. He was dying.
And they paroled him?
They let him out to die.
Well, they do things like that?
Sometimes.
No wonder he didn't write that dame. Yeah, what do you know about that?
Nothing. You work on it. I'm tired. Good night.
Are you a registered graduate nurse? Do you know someone who is? Then please listen carefully to this important message. 29,000 nurses are needed to join the new Army Nurse Corps Officers Reserve. For the first time in history, qualified nurses are given the opportunity of receiving a commission in the regular Army Reserve. These nurses will remain on inactive status, ready to serve their country in the event of an emergency. 4,000 of them, if they wish, may choose active duty. All nurses who receive reserve commissions will benefit from the opportunity for specialized training offered to them by the Army. Inactive reserve status will not interfere with the nurse's civilian life, but the educational opportunities offered her by the Army Medical Department will be of great advantage to her in her work. So don't wait. If you're a registered graduate nurse between the ages of 21 and 45, drop a card now for complete information to the Adjutant General, Washington, D.C. Jack Webb is starred as Jeff Regan, with Wilms Herbert as Anthony J. Lyon. The role of Connie Brondike was played by Betty Lou Gerson. Jeff Regan is written by E. Jack Newman, produced by Sterling Tracy, with original music by Dick Arant. It's CBS same time next week for more hard-boiled action and mystery with Jeff Regan, Investigator. If you like mystery, you'll be able to find out what makes a mystery when you find that clue with mystery man Ken Crossan and other famous mystery experts on most of these CBS stations Monday night at 8:30. Remember, find that clue, CBS Monday night. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, First with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned a missing persons detail. You get a call that a man is missing. He failed to return from his work the day before. There are no leads to his whereabouts. Your job? Find him. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality. Chesterfield. First choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield. Regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, June 16th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of Homicide Division, missing persons detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Chief of Detectives Thad Brown. My name's Friday. I was on my way back to the office, and it was 11:59 p.m. when I got to room 24. Missing persons.
What was his mental condition when you last saw him, Mr. Borg? Where'd you last see him? Was he driving his car? Mm-hmm. And what time was that? Yes, ma'am, but what was the exact time? I see. And your address? On the phone, please. Now, can you think of anything you forgot to tell me? Right. Right. Oh, you gave me that before. Mm-hmm. Was your husband a drinking man, ma'am? I see. Okay, Miss Borg, we'll make a check. Call you back. Yes, ma'am, we'll do our best, thanks.
Anything?
Man by the name of Borg missing. I'm sure glad my wife doesn't call for help every time I miss a meal. Trouble with most guys is they let a woman keep tabs on them, check on everything they do.
Let me see that 9-7, will you?
Yeah, there you go. It's everything his wife gave me.
Mm-hmm. When you get the jails and records, I'll check Georgia Street County Hospital in the morgue. Looked like a routine investigation. Lots of things can keep a man from getting home. A few drinks, sick friend, unexpected business conference, a flat tire on an isolated road, maybe just boredom. But there are other things that can keep a man from getting home. It had to be checked out. Henry Borg, 51, male, white American, address 1571 East Berendo Street, had failed to return home at the usual time on Monday. His wife called one of the men he worked with and found that he hadn't been at work all day that day. He still hadn't come home the next afternoon. She called us. I checked the Gaga file to see if he was one of our regular customers, mental case or alcoholic. He wasn't. Frank and I checked the jails, the hospitals, and the morgue. They had no record of him there. No John Does fitting his description. And Borg had no criminal record. We could assume that he was at least alive. Frank called Mrs. Borg back, told her not to worry, and asked her to call us immediately if she heard from her husband. Wednesday, 3:10 p.m., still no word of Henry Borg. The day watch had made another check of the jails, the hospitals, and the morgue. Mrs. Borg called 3 times. The day watch officer's notes described her as very upset. I called her back and asked her to come in the next day to file a missing persons report. I asked her also to bring in the best picture she had of her husband. Thursday, 2:40 p.m. Mrs. Borg was waiting with Frank when I got to work. She'd already filled out the Form 316. She was holding an aging Pekingese dog in her arms.
Joe, this is Mrs. Borg.
How are you, ma'am?
My partner, Joe Friday, ma'am.
Hello, Officer Friday. I talked to Mr. Smith and filled out the paper. Here's that picture you wanted.
Oh, yes. Thank you very much, ma'am.
It's a good likeness.
Mm-hmm. Now, Miss Borg, I see here that you haven't put anything down under personal habits for your husband.
Well, I don't understand.
Well, does your husband drink at all, ma'am?
Henry? No. He takes a glass of beer with his supper when he comes home, but he's not what a person would call a drinking person.
Gamble?
Gamble?
Yes, ma'am. Cards, dice, horses?
Oh, I should say not. He never does nothing like that.
You've never known him to gamble at all, then?
Henry? I should say not.
Now, Miss Borg, you say here that your husband has no relatives.
Oh, only brother Ed, older brother, but I didn't put him down. We don't know where he lives. Haven't heard a word about him 9-10 years.
Mm-hmm. What about your family? Your husband friendly with your family?
My family hasn't spoke to me since the day I married Henry Borg.
Mrs. Borg, I see you only have one friend listed, a Hal Bishop. That's the man your husband rode to work with, isn't it?
Yes.
Do you know Mr. Bishop's address?
No, I don't.
Did your husband ride to work with Bishop every day? You say he left his car at home Monday. Did he ever drive it to work?
Well, he usually drove our car, but then he'd ride with Mr. Bishop pretty often, too. I didn't think anything about it. It didn't seem like anything.
Well, did your husband spend much time with this Bishop?
No, just work. Henry used to like to spend his free time with me.
All right, now, ma'am, please don't get upset here. Did your husband have any financial problems, debts that were worrying him?
Financial difficulties, like bills and things? Oh, no, Henry always took care of it.
Do you think there might have been anything you didn't know about that was worrying him?
Officer, if Henry was worried about anything, I'd have known it. He'd have told me for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about your home? Do you own it?
What do you mean?
Was there a mortgage on it, I mean?
Yes.
Do you have the pink slip on your car?
No.
Well, is it possible that your husband was behind in the payments?
No, he would have told me.
Well, did he owe money down where he worked?
No, not that I know of.
His job, maybe. Was he worried about that?
Mr. Snyder, that's his boss. Well, he always said Henry would have a job as long as he was in the contracting business. Henry makes good wages.
Mm-hmm. Now, you say here his mental condition was good. Has it ever been poor? You ever know your husband to black out?
How do you mean, black out?
Well, has he ever suffered from lapse of memory? Is there any history of epilepsy in his family?
History of epilepsy? Oh, no, not Henry. Why, he's a healthy man. He hasn't had a sick day.
Now, Miss Borg, have you and your husband been getting along lately?
What do you mean by a thing like that, officer? You think Henry and I had a fight, and that's why he left. Is that what you think?
No, ma'am. We don't think anything here, but these are the things we have to check out.
Well, it's a waste of time. Don't you think I'd have already told you that? If Henry and I'd had a fight, I'd have told you first off. It's the first thing I'd have said.
Yes, ma'am.
Something's happened to my husband, officer. I just know it. Something's happened to him.
Did you and your husband go out together much, ma'am?
Well, one night last month we went to the Coconut Grove, there in the Ambassador Hotel, and we used to go to the movies pretty regular.
Was he in the habit of leaving the house at night alone?
No, just when he went out with Francine.
Francine?
Yes, our Pekingese here.
3:55 p.m., Thursday, June 18th. Began to look as if Henry Borg was in trouble. From what we'd been told, he wasn't a man who had just suddenly decided to leave home. We had to find out if the facts we'd been given were accurate. Thursday, 4:10 p.m. We contacted Borg's friend, Hal Bishop, just as he was leaving the construction job where they both worked. He said he hadn't gone by Borg's house to pick him up Monday because Borg hadn't asked him to. The way they worked it, Borg always told him the day before if he wanted to ride. At first, Bishop said he hadn't noticed anything strange about Borg recently. Then he decided Borg had been a little irritable the last few days. He said it wasn't like him to be irritable, that he'd never known Borg to miss work before, and that he'd never heard of any trouble between Borg and his wife. He said that Borg didn't talk much about his wife. We called on the neighbors of the Borgs. They said nothing to indicate any flaws in Mrs. Borg's story. Henry and Martha Borg were average people in an average neighborhood. He went to work every morning at 7 a.m., came home at 5:15. His neighbors didn't know much about him. He was a quiet man. They lived in the same house for 13 years. Martha Borg was 47, maybe 48. They never had visitors. After 13 years in the same neighborhood, she apparently had no close friends. Two of her neighbors had noticed that in the past year, Martha Borg would leave her house 3 or 4 times a week at 11 a.m. Always at 11 a.m. She invariably got back before her husband did. The neighbor said she usually brought some shopping home with her. They did go out frequently in the evenings. However, there were no reports of family trouble between Martha and Henry Borg. Thursday, 6:20 p.m. We talked to Adolph Wernicke, whose grocery store was on the corner a half a block from the Borg home. They'd been trading with him ever since they moved to the neighborhood.
I don't know what to tell you about Mr. Borg, officer. He always seemed like a nice fellow to me. Didn't say much, but nice. Sure is funny, him disappearing like that.
You got any idea if he had any trouble with his wife?
No, that wife, she's a funny one. Different from Mr. Borg as day and night.
Well, how's that, sir?
Well, I don't know. High hat, sort of. She's all right, I guess. Kind of show-off, though. Kind of person who dresses up when she goes shopping around the corner. Likes to buy fancy groceries, stuff I never get calls for. Like those anchovies up there on the shelf. Now, I'll bet you I won't sell 2 cans of them in a year, but Mrs. Borg comes in and she'll buy them. Now, Mr. Borg, he don't like that kind of stuff at all. Told me so himself.
Yes, sir, but how'd they get along? You ever say anything about his wife?
To tell you the truth, officer, I don't know. As far as a man and his wife arguing, I don't pry. Hurts business. Come to think of it, he did say one thing. That was a long time ago, about 2-3 months ago, maybe more.
What was that? What'd he say?
Well, he came in here, just about like this time it was. Didn't buy anything, just kind of hung around. Remember, he seemed out of sorts. I asked him if he was feeling all right. Said he was. Just felt like he had to get away from the house. Now, that'll happen to a man. Just feel like you got to get away for a while. But you know what I mean, officer.
No, sir, I'm not married. Thursday, 7:50 p.m. Borg's description and the circumstances of his disappearance have been broadcast to all units. Still no word. 4:10 p.m. Friday, June 19th. We checked Borg's union. He hadn't reported for a new job. We filed an all-points bulletin. 8:05 p.m. I checked back into the office. Mrs. Borg was waiting.
Sergeant Friday, I'd like to know just what's going on around here. My husband has been missing almost a week, and I don't see why something hasn't been done about it. If you can't find my husband, then why don't they put more men on this case? This is a terrible thing. I'm a woman alone, and the police haven't done a single thing. My husband may be dead. He may be dead, and nobody's doing anything about it.
In my work, you hear it every day, but you can't get mad. It's against regulations, and you can't blame them either. They're in trouble, so you let them talk. You try to explain. They don't listen, but you try.
Well, we're doing all we can, ma'am.
They're always talking these days about giving policemen more money. It seems to me there are certain policemen who aren't even earning the money they get right now.
Yes, ma'am.
What are you doing for my husband?
Ms. Borg, here's the file on it. Now, we've made regular checks on the hospitals, the jails, and the morgues. Thursday night, when you came in to file that Form 316, we had a complete description of your husband broadcast to all radio units in the city. It was teletyped to every police division. Today, we sent out an all-points bulletin over the state wire. Every police department, sheriff's office, and highway patrol unit in the state knows that your husband is missing. Here, you can see the bulletin right here, ma'am. Now, in these cases, ma'am, we start with nothing. We don't know where they've gone or why they've gone. Most of them turn up by themselves. Some of them don't. We do everything we can to find the ones that don't. Miss Borg, there are 4,000 police officers in this city looking for your husband. 8:57 p.m. When we thought Mrs. Borg was feeling better, we sent her home. We reminded her again to notify us immediately if she heard from her husband. 9:10 p.m. The desk at Central called and told us that they'd picked up a John Doe. From what they said, he apparently was suffering from amnesia. While I went down to Homicide to check out some reports, Frank went over to Central to see the man they picked up. 9:16 p.m. Frank came back to the office.
Joe?
Yeah?
Just checked out that John Doe at Central.
Anything on him?
Yeah, it's Henry Borg.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
9:18 p.m. Officers Gorman and Mayer brought in Henry Borg, alias John Doe. They found him wandering around in the 900 block down on South Spring Street, the financial district. Wasn't much reason for anybody to be loitering around there at that time of night. All the businesses in the area were closed. The officers investigated. When they questioned the suspect, he would not or could not reply. They took him to Central Division, where the watch commander, Lieutenant Hale, had him shaken down. His wallet was missing. No papers, no identification. In his pockets, the officers found 8 cents, a key ring, and several keys. No cigarettes, no matches. He was dressed in a good quality worsted suit, very rumpled. No tie, no hat. Gorman and Mayer had rolled his prints at the city hall and sent them to Leighton Prince for classification. During this time, no one let him know that we had any idea who he was. The two officers that had picked him up stood by. Frank and I walked over to where he was sitting.
Do you know who you are?
Feel sick? Been drinking, maybe? What'd you have, a rough night? Look, if you can talk, mister, I think you better make things a lot simpler here. We're trying to help you. How about telling us who you are?
Maybe there's something wrong with you, mister, but we don't think so. We want to know who you are. We want you to tell us. If you don't, the only thing we can do is let them book you at city jail as a John Doe. That's the law. Now, look, if you're trying to hide something, if you're wanted, we're going to know it in a few minutes anyhow. If you want to wait, we'll wait it out with you. You want us to think you're an amnesia case. Is that it? Well, maybe you got a good reason, but it won't work. I've been in this department a long time. I've seen a lot of phony amnesia cases. I've only seen one real one, and he didn't act like you. You want to know what I think? I think you're pulling a phony.
Come on. How about it, mister? I got it. Missing persons, Friday. All right. Yeah. You bet. Thanks very much. Right. Okay. That was Leighton Prince, mister. They got your fingerprints classified. Now, we know you're not wanted for anything.
Look, we know you're not a bum. Your clothes are good, and you look like a guy who takes good care of himself.
A man like you doesn't walk around without a wallet.
What happened to you?
You got a problem? Tell us about it. Maybe we can help you. Now, why don't you tell us who you are?
You probably got a wife. She must be mighty worried about you right now.
All right. Book him.
I lost my wallet.
How?
I don't know how.
Where?
I don't know where I've been.
Now, you listen to me, mister. We want to know who you are. We want to know where you've been, and we want to know right now.
I don't know who I am.
Let me see your hands.
What?
Your hands. Come on, hold them up. Let me see them. That's it. Now, I'm going to tell you something about yourself, mister. You work for a living, don't you? Hard work, with your hands.
Like a mason, maybe, huh?
Yeah, maybe you're a mason or a hod carrier. You could be a painter, some kind of construction work, I'd say. Something like a plasterer, for instance, huh?
You couldn't be a plasterer by any chance, could you, mister?
I don't know.
Okay. You ready to talk to us now, Henry?
I wasn't trying to fool you. I was only trying to fool myself.
Now, we've been looking for you since Tuesday, Borg.
Your wife's pretty worried.
I'm not going back. No matter what you do, I'm not going back.
We're not going to make you go back. That's up to you, Borg.
All they pay us for, mister, is to find you, to make sure you're okay. None of our business if you go back.
I'm not going back.
All right, now, look, you're pretty upset, Borg. Why don't you tell us about it?
It's crazy. It's crazy what I did. It doesn't make any sense. You fellas, you wouldn't be interested. Maybe I'll just go. If it's all right with you, I'll just go.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay if you want to. Look, we're going to be around here another hour. We haven't got much to do. Our work's all cleaned up. We're just about ready to go home. Why don't you stick around and talk to us, huh? We'd kind of like to hear what happened.
Yeah. Just might help to clear things up in your mind if you talked about it.
Oh, it's crazy. I know it's crazy, but I guess I do want to tell somebody about it.
How about a cigarette? Will that help?
Yeah.
Here, I'll give you a match.
I am a man 50 years old. I work hard. I learned my trade as a boy of 16. I've been at it ever since. My wife and me, we got a new car. We got our own home, almost paid for. A man my age, when he gets home nights, he wants to take it easy. Read the paper, watch the television. Bought a $400 TV, 21-inch screen.
Yeah.
You want to know what happens when I get home? She wants to go out. It don't make any difference how tired I am. It don't make any difference if I've been working hard all day. She wants to go out. Do you know what that's like?
Well, it doesn't sound like the reason a man would leave home, boy.
I don't mind it once in a while, if it was just once in a while, but she's after me every minute I'm home. Here for the last few years, it's been every night. I don't know what's come over her. She didn't used to be like that. Martha used to be a sensible woman. Now she acts silly like a young girl. She's different. Goes in for fancy clothes, all kinds of fancy food, even anchovies. And I don't like anchovies.
Last month, I swear, she even made me take her down to the Ambassador Hotel. Imagine me at the Ambassador Hotel. All I ever hear from her is we've just got a few years left to have our fling. I don't want any fling. I'm a plasterer. That's hard work. I get home, I want to rest. It isn't like I cared if she goes out. She goes to the movies almost every day. Goes before noon, she tells me, before the prices go up. I don't care about the money. I want her to have a good time, the clothes, the things like that. I don't care. I love my wife. I guess you think I'm crazy after what I did, but I love my wife.
I see, sir.
And that dog, that Francine, what kind of a name is that for a dog? You ought to hear her talk to it like it was a person.
How long you had the dog, Borg?
I don't know. 2-3 years.
Well, the reason I asked seems funny. You just decided to leave home last Monday. Dog's been around 2 or 3 years. The ambassador thing was last month, you said.
Well, what did it? It was the lessons.
Lessons?
The dancing lessons.
What?
But there's this social club up around Pico and Figueroa. People go there to dance. People our age, she says. Only I can't dance. That's when she gets this idea I got to take dancing lessons. Did you ever hear of anything like that? A man my age has got to take dancing lessons?
That's when you left.
It was Sunday afternoon when she got this idea. She kept picking at me all afternoon. It really got me. I thought about it all night. I couldn't sleep. Monday morning, I just didn't go to work. I got drunk instead. Got sick, too. Just couldn't think of anything else to do. Guess you know the rest. I lost my tie, my wallet, lost my hat, too. And they picked me up. I was just kind of wandering around when they picked me up. Seems like a shame when a man can't even go home.
Mm-hmm. You sure you don't want to go home now, Borg? Maybe if you talk things over with your wife.
No, it wouldn't do any good. Nothing I could say to her would do any good. I can't go home.
Well, it sure has been interesting hearing you talk, Mr. Borg. It's almost like hearing somebody tell about me, remember, Joe?
Yeah.
You had something like this?
Had it. With me, it was canasta, though. I hate cards, a waste of time. Yeah, I sure thought it was the end for me and Fay. Remember, Joe?
But it wasn't?
No, for a while there, it sure looked like I was going to lose my happy home. Guess I would have, too, but I talked turkey to her. You know what I mean, Borg?
No. What do you mean?
Talk turkey to him. Make him understand. You let a woman push you around, Borg, you're dead.
Well, with Martha...
Look, they're all the same. I sat her right down on the sofa, and I said, now look, Fay. And I told her what the score was. She took it, too. It's the only way to do. You try what I say, Borg. You'll see I'm right.
I can just see Martha if I ever tried to put my foot down.
That's what I thought. I was all set to give it up. Move in with Joe here, right, Joe?
Yeah.
Then I figured I might as well at least get a load off my chest. Once I got started, I lost my temper. You know, it's a funny thing. Fay's always thought more of me since then. You ask her. She'll tell you so herself. Says she respects a man who'll stand up for his own rights. Right, Joe?
Yeah.
I don't know. With me, I don't think it would work.
Sure it can. Now, Borg, you listen to me. You tell her you're a working man. Tell her when you get through work, you want to take it easy, and nobody's going to run you. Set her straight, Borg. Get tough if you have to. She won't give you any trouble after that.
I just don't know. Martha...
Won't do any harm to try it.
I'd like to see Martha's face just once if I even told her to shut up. I wouldn't want her to have anything handy to throw.
Borg, look, it's 12:10. We got to be getting home now. You take my advice. You go home, too. Have a talk with her. See if you can't work it out.
No, Sergeant. Thanks a lot, but I can't go home.
Well, like I told you, it's none of our business, but I think you ought to try.
Well...
Here. Well, look, you're going to need car fare. Here's $1. You take this and go on home. That'll get you there.
Well, okay. You'll get this back, Sergeant. I'll pay it back to you. I guess maybe you're right. Can't hurt anything to try.
What's your stuff?
Thank you a lot. I didn't mean to put you fellas out this way.
Good luck to you, Borg.
You'll see, it'll work.
Maybe it'll work. Well... But I don't know. Martha...
I'll get out a cancellation, Joe. That should wrap it up, huh?
Yeah.
What time did you say it was?
It's 12:10.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I better make a phone call first.
This time of night? Why? What's the matter?
I just remembered I told Faye I'd call her.
Friday, July 28th. A month had passed since Henry Borg had left our office to go home. We'd heard nothing further from him or his wife, and we assumed that they had reconciled their problems. 6:10 p.m.
Officers?
Oh, hello there, Borg. Nice to see you again.
Hi, Borg.
I was afraid maybe you fellas wouldn't remember me. It's been a while. I tried to get out and see you before this.
Well, fine. How are things going?
Did it work out like I said?
I brought you something, Sergeant. Some cigarettes for both of you. Like you to have them. I hope it's the right brand.
Well, yes, sir. That's the right brand, all right, but you don't owe us anything.
I want you to have them.
That's all right, sir. You keep them.
All right. Well, anyway, here's that $1, the one you loaned me.
Okay, Borg. Thanks very much.
I sure owe you fellas a lot, and I really mean it. My wife and I, we sure appreciate what you fellas did for us. Was that clock right?
Yes, sir.
Uh-oh, gotta rush. Got an appointment. Be late if I don't hurry.
Appointment?
Yeah. Gotta get over to Arthur Murray.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 31st, a meeting was held in the office of the captain of homicide. In a moment, the results of that meeting.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, we hope you've been listening to Dragnet regularly, and we hope you've tried our Chesterfields. If you haven't tried them yet, then tomorrow's your day. Get a carton, regular or king size. It only takes one carton of Chesterfields to show you why Chesterfield is best for you. Believe me, they're much milder with a wonderful taste. America's best cigarette buy, Chesterfield.
Since the subject, Henry George Borg, had committed no crime, he was not held, and the case was officially marked closed. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Frazier. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Vic Perrin, Irene Tedrow. Script by Paul Coates. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
By special request, Dragnet is being sent to our servicemen and women all over the world. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett and Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.
Sound off for Chesterfield. Chesterfield, first with premium quality and best for you. Chesterfield brings you Dragnet.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A young girl has been shot with a .22 caliber rifle. It was reported as suicide. Your job, investigate. Here is Chesterfield's record with smokers, and important to you.
No adverse effects to the nose, throat, and sinuses from smoking Chesterfield.
That's the report of a doctor who has been examining a group of Chesterfield smokers for a full year and 2 months as a part of a program supervised by a responsible independent research laboratory. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this? Chesterfield. First with premium quality. Chesterfield. First choice of young America. And that's from a survey made in 274 colleges and universities. Try Chesterfields today. Chesterfield. Regular or king size. They're much milder and best for you.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, June 8th. It was warm in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Frank Smith. The boss is Captain Lorman. My name's Friday. I was on my way into the office, and it was 8:03 a.m. when I checked into room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Yeah?
Back here in the skipper's office. Ray Geesey wants to talk to you.
All right.
Morning, Joe.
Hi, Ray. What do you got?
Suicide.
Anything on it?
Here's the report. Team from the business office went out last night. Get on it right away, will you?
Right. Let's go, man.
Yeah.
Want to check this stuff before we get started?
Might as well give us an idea what we got to do. What's the report say there you got?
Let's see. According to this, business office got a call at 2:30 this morning. Landlady out in the Westlake Park district called in and said that this young girl had committed suicide.
They get an ID on her?
No, they got her listed as Jane Doe, number 17. There's a description here.
Better check it with missing persons, huh?
Uh-huh.
How'd the landlady happen to find the body?
Well, according to the report, she heard the water running in the apartment, finally went up to see what it was. She knocked on the door, nobody answered. She opened it and went in, found the body.
Well, the girl didn't live in the apartment then?
No, place is rented to a Ross Mitchell.
Anything on him?
No, says he wasn't home. He was checked through R&I, no make on him.
How about prints on the victim?
No go. Checked them out. Nothing on her here. We could send them on to Washington.
Yeah.
And they found a suicide note. There's a copy of it here.
What's it say?
Ross, I've tried to make you understand. Nothing seems to do any good. I've told you that I won't stand in the way of your career, but you don't want to try to make a go of it. I know this doesn't solve anything. It's the only way I can think of.
Any signature?
No. The report says that the original copy's over at the crime lab for processing.
Well, I guess we better start with the landlady, huh?
It's the best lead we got. Galindo and Bates are out there now. Place was staked right away.
Friday, you want to talk too?
Right, thanks, Ray. It's Friday talking. Yeah. Uh-huh. No, we just got it. Is that right? Okay, Max. No, have him wait there, will you? No, we'll be right over. All right, thank you. Well, it's a little break. Max over at the coroner's office says they know who the girl is.
Yeah?
Her father just identified the body. "8:14 a.m. We left the city hall and we went over to the Hall of Justice. We met the victim's father, a Mr. Robert Andrews Paul. He told us that there could be no mistake. The body was that of his daughter, Gloria Z. Paul. The attendant had given him some smelling salts, and after introducing us, he'd left to close off the viewing room.
I don't understand why she'd do it. None of it makes sense.
Well, when did you see your daughter last, Mr. Paul?
Saturday afternoon. That was the last time. I never saw her again.
She was gone Saturday night and all day yesterday, is that it?
Yeah.
You hear from her at all?
No.
Weren't you worried about her at all?
No, sometimes she doesn't come home, stays with a girlfriend, but when I didn't hear from her last night, I got worried, started calling around.
Did she say where she was going when she left?
Told me she was going over to see Peggy. Said the two of them were going to a show and that she'd be home for dinner, sure.
Well, who is this Peggy?
Peggy Rockwell, a friend of Gloria's.
Uh-huh. Have you talked to her?
What?
I say, have you talked to this Peggy since your daughter disappeared?
Yes, I called her last night. I talked to her then. I was most out of my mind. I didn't know what to do. I talked to her last night. She didn't know.
Did your daughter know anybody named Ross Mitchell?
Ross Mitchell? No, I don't think I've ever heard the name. Why do you ask that?
Oh, just wondered.
You know something about this you're not telling me, is that it?
No, sir, we don't.
Well, it must be something like that. You don't just come up with a name like that out of thin air. You got to have a reason. Now, look, I'm her father. I got a right to know. All night sitting there waiting for the phone to ring, calling her friends, thinking she's been in an accident, imagining all kinds of things. If you know something, you should tell me. I've got to know. How am I going to tell her mother? Poor woman's almost dead with worry. She doesn't know about this. All she knows is that the baby's gone, that's all. The baby's gone. Gloria is dead. I don't know what to do.
All right, Mr. Paul, try to take it easy.
I'm sorry if you got a cigarette.
Yes, sir. Here you go. Here, I'll give you a light.
I'm sorry about that.
It's all right, sir. We understand. Now, do you think you can give us an address where we can talk to this Peggy Rockwell?
Yeah, she works at a restaurant over on 7th. I've got a home address, too, if you want it.
Yes, sir. We hope you'll understand this, Mr. Paul. We don't mean any offense here.
What's that?
Did your daughter have any steady boyfriends that you know about?
No, I don't think so. No one that she went with steady.
No one man she liked more than the others?
I think there was. I don't know who. Her mother asked her about it a couple of times, wanted to know who the fellow was, but Gloria'd never say. Just said that it wasn't serious, it didn't matter.
I'd seem to get along with this man, would you know?
All right, I guess. I told you I never saw him. I didn't know who he was. But whenever Gloria had a date with him, she acted like it was something special.
Did your daughter have a job?
Not regular. She used to model once in a while, and then maybe she'd pick up a day's work in pictures, not much.
Mm-hmm. Can you think of any reason why she'd want to take her own life?
No. She seemed pretty happy, never gave any indication there was anything wrong.
Has she been ill lately under a doctor's care?
No, not that I know about.
Well, Mr. Paul, is it possible she might have been seeing a doctor and you wouldn't know about it?
No, her mother would have known. She'd have told me. Now, I'm pretty sure she was feeling all right.
Anything about her job that bothered her?
What do you mean?
Well, was she happy with what she was doing, the kind of work she was doing?
Oh, yeah. Gloria didn't want a career. She was looking for a husband, one to settle down and raise a family.
Mm-hmm. Well, can you think of anything at all that might make her want to take her own life, as I asked you before?
I can't understand it. None of it makes any sense to me. Where she was found, she didn't know anybody in that part of town. I don't know what she'd be doing over there.
Did she drink?
I don't think I understand.
Well, did she drink much, sir? At bars, cocktail lounges?
No, she didn't. Now, Gloria was a good girl. She didn't drink or smoke. She was a good girl, and I don't understand all this. First this thing with Ross, and now you want to know if she drinks. I don't know what you're trying to get at, but I don't like it. You're trying to make Gloria something that she isn't. She's a good girl, always has been. Just a home and family, that's all she wanted, nothing more. I don't know why you're asking me all these questions. I'm her father. You're the police. It's up to you to find the reason. That's your job. Not to come around and say things about my girl.
I'm sorry. We're not saying anything, Mr. Paul.
You are, too. You're trying to make me believe that Gloria wasn't a nice girl. Now, I know different. I raised her since she was a baby, gave her all the care I could. I don't know why she'd do a thing like this.
You don't?
No. Why ask me these questions?
Well, sir, you said it yourself.
Huh?
You're her father. We continued to talk to the father of the victim. From him, we got a list of the girl's friends, the address, and the names of the people that she worked for. While we were talking to him, he was unable to give us any idea as to why his daughter, Gloria Paul, might want to take her own life. He insisted that he didn't know anybody or any one of his daughter's acquaintances named Ross Mitchell. A telephone call was put through to his wife, but she was unable to tell us who the man was. 8:20 a.m. Mr. Paul recovered from the initial shock, and he went home. 8:39 a.m. We drove over to the rooming house where Gloria Paul had been found. On the way, we stopped to call the crime lab to see if they'd been able to come up with anything in the dead girl's effects to help us. Lieutenant Lee Jones at the lab told us that they hadn't finished their investigation yet. 8:50 a.m. We arrived at the house and talked with the landlady, Thelma Keene.
It's terrible. Poor little thing.
You haven't seen Ross Mitchell yet, is that
No, he hasn't come in. I told the officers last night that I didn't expect him until noon today.
Have you seen the girl before?
Once in a while, she'd come in with Ross, wait for him, and then they'd go right out.
Did you see her last night, sir?
I told the officers that were here last night that I didn't. Didn't you talk to them at all?
Well, yes, ma'am. We have the report they filed, Mrs. Keene, but we'd like to get some additional facts from you.
It seems like a waste of time, but I suppose you have to.
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any idea when she might have come in?
No, not the slightest.
When was the last time you saw Mitchell?
Saturday around noon. He came in and told me that he'd be out of town over the weekend. Said for me to keep an eye on the place.
Yes, ma'am. Did he tell you where he was going?
He said he was going to visit an assistant director friend of his over in La Cañada.
Did he say what the friend's name was?
No, they're working on a picture together. Ross just met him the other day. Asked him out for the weekend. Ross is very good at making friends.
Mm-hmm. Do you know where he's working?
No, Ross just said it was a sea adventure. Doing it in full color. 3D, too. I guess it's going to be quite a spectacle. They didn't have all the gimmicks in my day.
Ma'am?
Didn't have 3D or the other things. In my day, we acted. We knew how to act. From the heart. These youngsters are good flack. Can make a star out of anybody. Oh, things have changed. And here, this one. That's me with the pith helmet. This was made over on Catalina Island. We were shooting a jungle picture. We acted. No doubles for us. Real actors.
When was this, ma'am?
A few years ago. Now, why are you asking all these questions about Ross?
Well, the note the girl left was addressed to him.
That doesn't mean anything. Just some lovesick girl. Doesn't mean Ross had anything to do with it.
How'd you happen to find the body?
I went to bed about 10:30. They were running one of my old movies on TV, and I stayed up to see it. You happened to catch it? The thing called The Floods Will Come. I made it over at Catalina. It starred Nick Benton, real movie idol. Here's one of the stills from the picture.
Yes, ma'am.
Here's the whole company. That's me. And that's Nick with the puttees. He'd put on a little weight. I remember he had to do road work while we were there to trim down. Held the company up for a week. A grand picture. They didn't do it right on television, though. Looked a little corny. I guess the way they ran it through the machines. You know, we all looked pasty. Even Nick.
Yes, ma'am. Would you go on, please?
Well, after I saw the rest of the picture, I went up to the kitchen, got a bowl of shredded wheat to eat in bed, came back to the bedroom, and I heard this noise.
What noise was that, ma'am?
Like somebody was running water in one of the taps. Went on and on. Pretty soon it started to bother me. I couldn't understand it.
Uh-huh.
Finally, I went up to see who it was. Noise came from Ross's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
I knocked, but there wasn't any answer, so I unlocked the door and went in. I thought something was wrong. That's when I saw her.
I see.
She was lying on bed. Right away, I called the police.
Now, before you went up, did you hear any other noises? Any sound of a struggle, anything like that, maybe?
No, just the water running.
Well, how about the shot, ma'am? You hear that?
No, I didn't. A lot of shooting in the picture I was watching.
Did you touch anything in the room?
No, I turned the lights, but that's all. The room was dark when I went in. Just turned on the lights, and then I called you.
According to our report, there wasn't any purse found near the body. Did you see one when you went in there?
I didn't. But if I had, you'd gotten it. What are you trying to say? That I stole her purse? Is that what you're trying
No,
to say?
ma'am, that's not what we're trying to say.
Better not. I've got a reputation in this town. I know a lot of big people. I'm not going to have you come in here and call me a thief.
Well, we didn't mean to offend you, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Who has a key to Mitchell's place besides him, ma'am?
No one. He's got the only one. I don't like a lot of keys to the rooms out. I tell all the tenants that.
Have you got any idea how the girl might have gotten into the room?
No.
Do you know who the gun belonged to?
Yes, it was Ross's.
You pretty sure about that, are you?
Yes, I saw it when he moved in. Commented on it then. He said that he'd had it since he was a kid. Kept it out of sentiment.
Mm-hmm.
What's this all about, anyway? You seem to think that there's something wrong. Is that it?
No, ma'am. It's just that in things like this, we have to make a complete investigation. You can understand.
Oh, well, I want to do all I can to help you, but I do have an appointment. If there's nothing more you want, I'd like to be going.
That's all right, Miss Keene. If we want to talk to you, we'll be able to reach you here?
Yes, right here.
We'll give you a call to tell you about the inquest.
Am I going to have to be there?
Yes, ma'am. You and Mitchell.
Why him?
Well, it was his apartment, ma'am.
But he didn't have anything to do with
Well,
it.
maybe so, ma'am, but he'll still have to be there.
It's not fair. A thing like this can ruin him. By the time the papers get through with it, he'll be finished. It can ruin his career. He doesn't know anything about it. He won't be able to tell you anything.
You're wrong there, ma'am.
Huh?
He's got a lot to explain. We went upstairs and met the officer staked out in the room and looked at the apartment where the girl had been found. 9:20 a.m. We gave our card to Thelma Keene and asked her to call us if she thought of anything else. We also asked her to notify us immediately in the event she heard from Mitchell. The stakeout on the room continued. 9:52 a.m. We drove over to the coffee shop on West 7th Street to talk to the girl's friend, Peggy Rockwell. We found her in the back of the place typing out the day's menus.
What about Gloria? Something wrong?
When was the last time you saw her, miss?
Well, let's see. Saturday night, she stayed at my house. Left about noon on Sunday. I had the day off. Figured that maybe we'd do something, but Gloria said she had something to do. Last I saw her was on Sunday morning.
You know a man named Ross Mitchell?
That bum.
Why do you say that, Miss Rockwell?
'Cause he is. Real no good.
You pretty friendly with Miss Paul?
Well, Gloria thought so. Turned out he was just using her.
Well, how do you mean?
Thought at first she could get him some jobs. Turned out when he could do better, he dropped her. They were going to get married, and then he thought he could do better, so he dropped her.
Mm-hmm.
Say, do you mind if I go ahead with these menus? The boss will be sore if I don't get through with them.
No, you go right ahead, miss.
We can talk while I'm doing it.
Yes, ma'am.
I took a course once, touch typing. Didn't think I'd ever use it. Boy, was I fooled.
You go right ahead, miss.
Well, this Ross really gave her the rush. Had her take him around, introduce him to her friends. She got him a couple of jobs. She's the one who introduced him to Mike.
Mike?
Yeah, Mike Cowell, that's Ross's agent. Peggy set it up. She's done just about everything for him. Then the bum acts like this.
What do you mean, miss?
Treated her so bad. Say, how do you spell croquette?
Well, I think it's Croquettes.
O-Q-E-T-T-E-S. Turkey. They had roast turkey last night. I don't understand how people can eat them, but we sure sell a lot of them.
Did Miss Paul say she was going to see Ross over the weekend?
Yeah. She said she had an appointment with him Sunday. Said she'd called him and set it up.
You know what time?
No, just said she wasn't going on like this. Had to be straightened out.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame her. She's told her friends they were going to get married, and at the last minute, Ross would back out.
Her family know about Ross?
No. Father didn't mind her doing a little work in show business, but he didn't want her to marry anyone in it. She thought that if they just got married, then the family'd understand.
Joe?
Yeah.
I'll call the crime lab, see if they've finished.
Yeah, fine, thanks. How did Miss Paul and Mitchell seem to get along, ma'am?
What do you mean?
Well, did they have any arguments or disagreements, would you know?
Not often. Most of the trouble they had was about getting married. Ross kept saying that it wouldn't do him any good to be married now. He thought that it might hurt his career. That's all he thought about.
Were you ever present at any of these arguments?
Once. We'd gone out on a double date, went to a place down at the beach, had dinner, and then stopped on the way back for a couple of drinks.
Uh-huh.
Ross got pretty drunk, got into a big thing about his career.
Yeah.
He went on and on about how hard he'd work, how much the theater meant to him, all that kind of stuff.
I see.
Finally, he said right out that he'd kill anyone who tried to stop him, just like that. He'd kill anyone who tried to stop him.
Joe?
Yeah.
See you a minute.
Would you excuse me, please?
Sure. Just a minute. Is there one L or two L's in broccoli?
Just one, ma'am.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Just talked to Lee Jones.
Yeah, did he finish up?
Yeah, something's wrong.
What's that?
He thinks the girl was murdered.
You are listening to Dragnet, the authentic story of your police force in action. Years ahead of them all.
Chesterfield is years ahead of all cigarettes.
Chesterfield quality is highest. Here's the proof.
Recent chemical analyses give an index of good quality for the country's 6 leading cigarette brands. The index of good quality table, which is a ratio of high sugar to low nicotine, shows Chesterfield quality highest.
Chesterfield quality highest.
15% higher than its nearest competitor.
Chesterfield quality highest.
31% higher than the average of the 5 other leading brands. Don't you want to try a cigarette with a record like this?
Chesterfield. First with premium quality and best for you.
Try Chesterfield today. Regular or king size.
10:37 a.m. We drove to the crime lab and talked with Sergeant J. Allen. He told us that when they checked for powder burns on the body, they hadn't found any. They measured the reach of the dead girl and found that it would have been almost impossible for her to have pulled the trigger on the rifle, leaving the fingerprints they found on the gun. Water test failed to show any traces of nitrate powder on her hands. They checked the handwriting on the suicide note found in the room against samples of Gloria Paul's writing and found that they didn't match. From their findings, they said that it was their opinion that the girl had not killed herself, that she'd been murdered. We went back to the city hall and got out a local and an APB on Ross Mitchell. We called the landlady of his rooming house. She hadn't heard from him. 12:30 p.m., we went back to the rooming house and relieved the stakeout. We asked the landlady not to say anything to Mitchell about our being there. 12:45 p.m., still no sign of the suspect. 1 o'clock. 1:30.
Who are you? What are you doing in my place?
Come on in.
Who are you?
Police officers, come on in. Close that door. Put that suitcase down.
What's this all about, anyway? What have you guys been doing here? The place is
You
all
Ross
torn up.
Mitchell?
Yeah, why?
You know a girl named Gloria Paul?
What's she got to do with it?
You know her?
Yeah, I know her.
When's the last time you saw her?
Say, what's this all about? What's all these questions?
When was the last time you saw Gloria Paul?
Friday night, I guess.
Don't you know for sure?
All right, Friday night.
You haven't seen her since?
I told you, the last time was Friday night.
You didn't see her Sunday?
No.
Where were you Saturday and Sunday?
Out of town.
Where?
La
Can
Cañada.
you prove you were there?
Why?
Can you prove you were there?
I don't like all this. You guys coming in here asking a lot of questions. What are you trying to prove?
Who are you staying with?
A friend of mine.
What's his name?
I'm not going to have him dragged into this.
You haven't got any choice.
Well, that's what you say. You haven't told me what this is all about. I'm not telling you anything. Will you tell
Now,
me?
you look, Mitchell, understand this. We're not here to pass the time of day. You better come up with some answers quick. Now, who are you with?
Friend of mine, guy named Sid Austin.
What's his phone number?
You going to call him?
We got to check your alibi.
Oh, what's his number?
Won't do any good to call him.
Thought you said you were there.
I was.
Then we got to call him.
Well, he won't be able to tell you anything. He wasn't there. He just let me use his place. There wasn't anybody there.
Who's got a key to this place besides you?
You mean here?
That's right.
Nobody.
You got the only key, huh?
That's right. The landlady's got one, just the two of them.
You got any idea how somebody else could get in here?
No. Why?
How well do you know Gloria Paul?
What's she got to do with it?
How well do you know her?
We used to go together.
Anything serious between you?
She thought we might get married.
How'd you feel about it?
I don't think that's any of your business.
Maybe it is. How'd you feel about it?
I liked her. She was a nice kid.
Nothing more?
No. Now, you look. I think it's about time you told me what this is all about. Something to do with Gloria. Is that it?
That's right.
What?
She's dead.
Oh. Oh. Can I please have a cigarette?
Yeah. Here. Here's a match.
Thanks. How'd it happen?
Thought maybe you could tell us.
Why'd you figure that?
Where'd you see her last?
Up here.
This room?
Yeah.
When was that?
I told you, Friday night.
You have any trouble with her?
No.
No argument?
I told you no. Well, how'd it happen? Can't you tell me?
You own a .22 rifle?
Yeah.
You got bullets for it?
Yeah, why?
Where do you keep it?
Closet over there.
You keep it loaded?
No, the bullets are on the shelf in the closet.
Right, come on, Russ. We better go downtown.
What
I
for?
want to talk to you.
What for? You got to tell me before I have to go. You got to tell me what you're holding me for.
Suspicion of murder. Now, come on.
Where are you taking him?
Downtown.
Why?
We want to talk to him.
You didn't have anything to do with it, did you, Ross?
I don't even know what this is all about. All I know is that Gloria's dead.
She killed herself in your room.
What?
In your room, Ross. It was suicide.
Well, they're arresting me for murder.
Oh, you can't do that. Ross didn't have anything to do with it. It was suicide. That's what you said.
All right, come on, Mitchell.
Well, you can't do that. It was suicide.
You want to take him out the car, Frank?
Yeah. Come on.
You can see that you're making a mistake. He didn't have anything to do with it. He's going to have enough trouble with that girl killing herself in his apartment. You can't arrest him for murder. It was suicide.
What are you trying to tell us, lady?
What?
Something you want to say here?
No, you're making things up.
All right, let's go.
Yes. Yes, go ahead. Take him. Go ahead. He wants to be a star. Let him. Go ahead and take him and serve him right. The way he treats people. I tried to help him. God knows I tried. Got him to meet a lot of important people, a lot of contacts. You think he was interested? You bet he was. How's he show it? I'll tell you how. He thanks me for all I've done for him by running around, chasing after that young nobody, that Gloria. I tried to reason with her, tried to talk some sense into her. Told her that she couldn't do anything for him. Told her that I could make him a star, bigger than anybody. She said she loved him. She doesn't know how to love.
You want to go ahead?
Came over here all the time, begging Ross to marry her. I told her to get out of his life and stay out, to leave him alone. He didn't need her.
When was all this?
Sunday evening, she came here all dressed up. Oh, when they're young, they know everything. I'm one of the biggest stars this town ever had. She's a nobody. I know what's good for that boy.
Didn't you tell us you didn't see the girl Sunday, isn't that right?
That's what I said.
Did you see her Sunday?
Yes, I did. She wanted me to let her into Ross's apartment. Told her he wasn't there. She said it didn't make any difference. She'd wait for him.
Yeah?
I told her to leave him alone. She didn't understand him. Didn't know how to take care of him. I know the right people. He could have written his own ticket in this town. He could have been big. You don't want him. I killed her.
All right. Do you want to get a coat for him?
Yes. Doesn't make any difference. I did it to help him. I thought you'd think it was suicide. I didn't think you'd figure anything else.
You wrote the note, did you?
I did. That's what you've got to understand. for him. That was all that counted. He'd married her and he'd been through. I had to stop it. I didn't want to kill her. But you can see I couldn't let him marry her. Ross is a fine actor. Real talent. Doesn't come along often.
All right, lady. Let's go.
He'll understand, won't he? He'll know why I did it. He'll understand.
I wouldn't know, ma'am.
Oh?
We'll let you ask him.
The story you have just heard is true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On October 14th, trial was held in Department 89, Superior Court of the State of California, in and for the County of Los Angeles. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you, George Fenneman. Friends, Dragnet Radio is taking a summer vacation. We'll be back in the fall. George Fenneman will tell you all about that in a minute. Meanwhile, I hope you'll watch our TV show regularly, and I also hope that all of you who are not Chesterfield smokers will try them. I like to feel that when we resume broadcasting in the fall, every one of you will have switched to Chesterfield. You'll find their best for you. And, of course, when you go on that vacation this summer, be sure to take along a couple of cartons with you. Chesterfield. And we all hope you have a very pleasant summer.
Thelma Alice Keene was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She was sentenced to life imprisonment in the California Institute for Women, Corona, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department. Technical advisors, Captain Jack Donahoe, Sergeant Marty Wynn, Sergeant Vance Brasher. Heard tonight were Ben Alexander, Virginia Gregg, Vic Perrin. Script by John Robinson, Ben Alexander. Music by Walter Schumann. Hal Gibney speaking.
For a million laughs, tune in Chesterfield's Martin and Lewis show, Tuesday on this same NBC station. And sound off for Chesterfields, either regular or king size. You'll find premium quality Chesterfields much milder. Chesterfield is best for you.
By special request, Dragnet is being sent to our servicemen and women all over the world. Chesterfield has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Dragnet leaves radio for the rest of the summer. We'll be back early in September. Watch then for our return. Check the radio listings of your newspaper for the day and time. Please note, however, that if Dragnet is seen on television in your community, it will continue throughout the summer.
Have you tried new cork-tipped Fatima? It's the smooth smoke. Here's why. New Fatima tips of perfect cork, king size for longer filtering, and Fatima quality for a much better flavor and aroma. Remember, Fatima has the tip for your lips. Try new Fatima. See how smooth it is. Fatima is made by the makers of Chesterfield, Liggett & Myers, one of tobacco's most respected names.